The security guards ripped Nathan's shirt open in front of 300 guests while cameras flashed everywhere. His wife's mother was screaming that he stole her diamond necklace. The crowd laughed, called him a gold digger, a con artist, a pathetic single dad who married up for money. And Elena, his wife, the woman he'd sacrificed everything for, just stood there, silent, frozen, watching them destroy him. What none of them knew. Nathan Cole wasn't poor. He was worth more than everyone in that ballroom combined, and tonight they just made the biggest mistake of their lives. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how we got here. Stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels. Nathan Cole learned early that silence was cheaper than explanation. At 32, he'd mastered the art of letting people think whatever made them comfortable. Let them assume. Let them judge. It didn't cost him anything, and most days their opinions weren't worth the breath it would take to correct them. He was a single father. That part was true. 8-year-old Maya was his whole world, had been since the accident that took her mother 4 years ago. The grief had carved something permanent into Nathan's face, a quiet that people mistook for weakness. Or maybe sadness. Sometimes both. He worked. He provided. He showed up to every school event, every parent-teacher conference, every soccer practice. He wore the same rotation of button-downs and khakis because fancy clothes weren't a priority when you had a kid who kept outgrowing shoes every 3 months. He drove a beat-up pickup truck that stuttered when it rained but still ran, so why replace it? Nathan lived modestly because that's what felt right, not because he had to. But nobody asked questions. They just looked at his calloused hands, his quiet demeanor, his old Ford, and filled in the blanks themselves. It was easier that way. Until Elena. He met her at Maya's school fundraiser on a random Tuesday in October. She was overdressed for the event, sleek black pantsuit, heels that clicked against the gymnasium floor like a countdown. She looked lost among the construction paper decorations and homemade cookie tables. Nathan was manning the dunking booth when she walked up. "Is this the ticket table?" she asked. "3 booths down," Nathan said, pointing, "next to the face painting." She glanced that direction, then back at him. "You're soaking wet." "Occupational hazard." He wrung out his shirt. Some kid with a good arm had dunked him 4 times in a row. "You here for someone specific?" "Research," she said, which was a weird answer. "I'm considering a donation. Wanted to see the school firsthand." "That's generous." "Maybe." She tilted her head, studying him. "You do this often? The dunking booth?" "When they need volunteers." He shrugged. "It's for the kids." Something shifted in her expression. Not pity. He would have walked away if it was pity. More like recognition. Like she'd just confirmed something she suspected. "I'm Elena," she said. "Nathan." They shook hands. Hers were soft, manicured. His were rough from years of work he didn't need to do but did anyway because staying busy kept the ghosts quiet. "You're Maya Cole's father," Elena said. That surprised him. "You know Maya?" "I've seen her file. Straight A's, perfect attendance. Teachers love her." Elena smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Made her look younger, less guarded. "You're doing something right. Trying to. Most parents just try. You're succeeding." She paused. "That's rare." Before Nathan could respond, Maya came sprinting over, face painted like a butterfly, holding a bag of cotton candy bigger than her head. Dad, look! Mrs. Patterson painted wings on my cheeks, and Tommy said they look weird, but I think they're pretty, and—" She stopped mid-sentence, noticing Elena. "Oh, hi." "Hi yourself," Elena said, crouching down to Maya's level. "Those wings are beautiful. Tommy doesn't know what he's talking about." Maya beamed. "That's what I said." Nathan watched them interact, Elena asking about Maya's favorite subjects, Maya chattering about everything and nothing with the confidence of a kid who'd never learned to doubt herself. There was something gentle in the way Elena listened, really listened, not the polite adult humoring a child thing, genuine interest. When Maya ran off to find her friends, Elena stood. "She's wonderful," she said. "She is. Takes after her father, I'm guessing." Nathan huffed a quiet laugh. "You don't know me well enough to make that call." "Then let me fix that." Elena pulled out her phone. "Dinner? This week?" He should have said no. Should have recognized the designer watch, the way she carried herself like someone used to getting what she wanted, the subtle tells that she existed in a completely different world than him. But her smile was real, and Nathan had been alone for a long time. "Sure," he said. "Dinner." Elena Whitmore was careful about exactly three things: her coffee order, her quarterly reports, and who knew the truth about her family. The Whitmore name carried weight in certain circles: old money, new power. Her family's luxury empire had grown exponentially under her leadership as CEO, but Elena had learned early that wealth attracted the wrong kind of attention. People changed when they learned about the money, became performative, calculating. So she hid it, rented a modest apartment downtown under a shell company, drove a practical sedan, wore affordable clothes outside the office. Built a second life where she could exist as just Elena, not Elena Whitmore, billionaire heiress, not the youngest CEO in her company's history, not the daughter of Vivian and Charles Whitmore, just Elena. It was exhausting maintaining two identities, but the alternative was worse. She'd watched her sister Chloe cycle through a parade of opportunists who loved the Whitmore fortune more than they'd ever love her, had seen her mother's social circle, a pit of vipers competing for status and influence. Elena wanted something real. And then she met Nathan. Their first dinner was at a hole-in-the-wall Italian place Nathan picked. Family-owned, red-checkered tablecloths, breadsticks that came out too hot to touch. Elena couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten somewhere without a Michelin star. "This okay?" Nathan asked as they sat down. "It's not fancy, but the food's good." "It's perfect," Elena said, and meant it. They talked for 3 hours. Nathan told her about Maya, about his late wife Sarah, about the furniture restoration business he ran from his garage because he liked working with his hands. Elena told him about her job, corporate consulting, she said vaguely, and her complicated family and her love of old architecture. She didn't mention the billions, the board meetings, the society galas, and Nathan never asked. He seemed genuinely uninterested in the trappings most people fixated on, didn't care about her clothes or her connections or what she could do for him. He asked about her favorite books, her childhood dreams, what made her laugh. By the time dessert arrived, Elena knew she was in trouble. "Can I see you again?" Nathan asked as they walked to their cars. "Yes," Elena said without hesitation. "Friday?" "Friday." He kissed her cheek, old-fashioned and sweet, and drove away in that ridiculous pickup truck. Elena sat in her sedan for 10 minutes afterward, phone buzzing with ignored messages from her assistant, and smiled. Ikeneke. They fell fast. 3 months of dinners and walks and quiet evenings where Nathan cooked while Maya did homework at the kitchen table and Elena helped, feeling domestic in a way that should have terrified her but didn't. 6 months of Nathan meeting her after work, though Elena always changed out of her designer suits first, met him in jeans and simple tops. 9 months of building something that felt solid and true. Nathan introduced her to Maya properly around month 4. "This is Elena," he said over breakfast one Saturday. "She's special to me." Maya, 8 years old and sharper than most adults, looked Elena over with serious eyes. "Are you going to marry my dad?" she asked. "Maya," Nathan started, "because if you are, you should know he snores sometimes and he makes really bad pancakes, but he tries really hard and he always keeps his promises." Elena laughed. "Those are important things to know." "So?" Maya pressed. "Are you?" Elena looked at Nathan, this quiet, steady man who'd somehow cracked open parts of her she'd kept locked for years, who never asked about her money or her status, who loved his daughter with a fierceness that made Elena's chest ache. "Maybe," Elena said softly. "If he asks." Nathan's ears turned red. Maya grinned. "Good," the little girl said. "I like you." Masag. 14 months after that first meeting at the school fundraiser, Nathan proposed. No fancy restaurant, no elaborate plan. Just the three of them at the park where Nathan used to take Maya after Sarah died, sitting on the swings as the sun set. "I know this might seem fast," Nathan said, holding a simple ring, modest by any standard, probably a month's salary for him, Elena thought. "And I know we come from different places, but you fit With us. With me. And if you'll have us, Maya and I would really like you to stay. Maya nodded enthusiastically. Elena took the ring with shaking hands. She should have told him then. About the money, the family, the impossible complications waiting on the other side of yes. But she looked at Nathan's honest face and Maya's hopeful eyes and thought, maybe it won't matter. Maybe love is enough. Yes, she said. They got married 2 months later at City Hall. Small ceremony, just them and a handful of friends. Elena told her family she was taking a vacation, wore a simple white dress, promised herself she'd tell Nathan the truth after the honeymoon. But the honeymoon ended and the words stuck in her throat. Then weeks became months, became a year, and the lie grew bigger than Elena knew how to dismantle. The truth came out in the worst possible way. Elena's mother showed up at Nathan's house unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon. Nathan answered the door in his work clothes, jeans splattered with wood stain, flannel shirt rolled to his elbows, and found an immaculately dressed woman in her 60s staring at him like he was a roach she'd found in her penthouse. "You must be Nathan," Vivian Whitmore said, voice dripping ice. "Can I help you? I'm Elena's mother." She pushed past him without invitation, heels clicking against his worn hardwood floors. Her gaze swept the modest living room, second-hand couch, Maya's toys in a basket by the TV, family photos in mismatched frames. "Where's my daughter?" "At work," Nathan said slowly. "Mrs. I'm sorry, she never mentioned her last name. Whitmore." Vivian turned and her smile was sharp enough to cut. "Elena Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Luxury International, current net worth approximately $4.2 billion. Though I suppose she forgot to mention that part." The floor dropped out from under Nathan's feet. "What? Oh, this is delicious." Vivian laughed, cold and cruel. "She really didn't tell you. My daughter, the billionaire, married a—" She gestured vaguely at Nathan's stained clothes, his calloused hands. "Carpenter? Handyman? Whatever it is you do." "Furniture restoration," Nathan said automatically, brain still catching up. "How quaint." Vivian's expression hardened. "Let me be clear, Mr. Cole. I don't know what game you're playing or what you think you'll get out of this marriage, but it ends now. Elena has responsibilities, a legacy. She can't throw her life away on some working-class single father living in a house that probably costs less than my monthly spa budget." Something hot and ugly twisted in Nathan's chest. "You need to leave," he said quietly. "Excuse me?" "My house. Leave." "How dare?" Now. They stared at each other. This woman dripping in wealth and contempt, this man in his stained work clothes who'd just learned his entire marriage was built on a lie. Vivian's smile returned, even colder than before. "This isn't over," she said. "Elena will come to her senses. And when she does, I'll make sure you get exactly what you deserve." She left. Nathan stood in his living room for a long time after, trying to process. $4 billion. CEO. Whitmore. Elena had lied. For over a year. Let him propose with a ring that probably costs less than her morning coffee. Let him plan their modest life together while she played pretend in his world. The front door opened. Elena came in, still in her consulting clothes, except now Nathan recognized the labels, the cut, the quiet luxury he'd been too naive to notice. "Hey," she said, smiling. "How was your—" She stopped, saw his face. "What's wrong?" "Your mother came by," Nathan said. All the color drained from Elena's face. "Nathan, $4 billion? His voice cracked. "You're a CEO of a luxury empire? And you just— What? Forgot to mention it?" "I was going to tell you." "When? After another year? 2? He laughed, but it came out broken. "I proposed to you with a ring I saved 6 months for while you're worth billions. I brought you to my house, introduced you to my daughter, built a life with you, and the entire time you were lying." "I wasn't lying." "What do you call it, Elena?" Nathan's hands shook. "Because from where I'm standing, you let me believe we were equals, that we were building something together. But this whole time you were just— What? Slumming it? Playing house with the poor carpenter for fun?" "No." Elena stepped forward, tears streaming now. "Nathan, no, I love you. That was never fake. I wanted someone to love me for me, not for the money, not for what I could give them. And you did. You do. That's real. You didn't trust me with the truth. I was scared. Of what? Of this. Elena gestured between them. Of you looking at me differently. Of the money changing everything. It always does. Always. So instead you lied. I protected what we had. By building it on a foundation of bullshit? Nathan scrubbed his face. How am I supposed to trust anything now? How do I know you even meant the vows? Maybe I was just a fun experiment. See how the other half lives. You're being cruel. I'm being honest, which is apparently more than you've been. They stood in the wreckage of their marriage, truth hanging between them like shrapnel. I should have told you, Elena said finally. You're right. I should have told you from the beginning. But Nathan, please. Everything else was real. My feelings for you, for Maya, the life we're building. With my daughter, Nathan cut in. You let my daughter get attached to you while lying about who you are. That landed. Elena flinched. I never lied to Maya. You lied to me. Same thing. Nathan moved to the door, opened it. I need time to think, to process this. Nathan, please go. Elena gathered her things with shaking hands, paused at the door. I love you, she said. That's the truth. Whatever you decide, just know that's always been true. Nathan didn't respond. She left. He stood in the empty house, surrounded by the modest life he'd built, the honest life he'd worked for, and felt the weight of Elena's deception crushing down. The ring on his finger suddenly felt too heavy. Yes, Kit. Elena told herself she could fix this. She gave Nathan space for 3 days, then came back with apologies and explanations and promises to be completely honest moving forward. Nathan listened. They talked, fought, talked more. I'm not ending the marriage, Nathan said finally. But things change now. No more secrets. No more secrets, Elena agreed. And I meet your family. Properly. Elena's stomach dropped. Nathan, they're complicated. I don't care. If we're doing this, really doing this, then I need to know all of you, including the family you've been hiding me from. So Elena arranged dinner. It went about as well as she expected, which was terribly. Vivian spent the entire meal making passive-aggressive comments about Nathan's clothes, his education, his quaint little business. Charles, Elena's father, barely acknowledged Nathan's existence. And Chloe, Elena's 26-year-old sister, laughed openly when Nathan mentioned he drove a pickup truck. A Ford? Chloe giggled. Like an actual old Ford. That's adorable. It runs, Nathan said evenly. I'm sure it does. Chloe sipped her wine. In a charming, rustic kind of way. Elena watched Nathan's jaw tighten. Watched him endure their condescension with that same quiet dignity he wore like armor. Watched her family treat him like something they'd scraped off their shoe. And she said nothing. Not because she agreed, but because standing up to her family meant choosing sides, and Elena had spent her whole life avoiding that particular battle. It was easier to smooth things over later, to apologize in private, to tell Nathan they didn't matter. Except they did matter. Because 3 months after that disastrous dinner, Vivian called with an ultimatum. The board has concerns about your marriage, she said over speakerphone in Elena's office. Excuse me? Nathan Cole, the carpenter. It's not a good look, darling. The family has a reputation to maintain. Mother, I'm not saying divorce him, yet, but perhaps some distance for appearances? I'm not leaving my husband for appearances. Then you're risking your position, your legacy, everything we've built. Vivian's voice hardened. The board votes on your contract renewal in 6 months. Make the right choice. Elena sat in her office after the call ended, staring at the city skyline. She loved Nathan, truly, but she'd worked her entire adult life for the CEO position, had sacrificed and fought and proved herself again and again. Could she risk it all? Should she have to? But Nathan noticed the change immediately. Elena started working later, missing dinners, coming home exhausted and distant. When he asked about it, she said the board was demanding more of her time. Is this about us? Nathan asked one night as she packed for another business trip. What? No, of course not. But she wouldn't meet his eyes. Elena. She stopped packing, sat on the bed. My family wants me to create some distance between us for professional reasons. Distance. Just temporarily, until some board concerns settle. What concerns? It's complicated. Try me. Elena looked at him finally, this man she loved, who she'd built a life with, who looked at her now with hurt and confusion and something that might have been disappointment. They think you're bad for my image, she said quietly. The words hung there. Nathan laughed, sharp and bitter. Right, the poor carpenter dragging down the billionaire heiress, classic. I don't agree with them, but you're considering it. I'm trying to keep my job, Nathan, my company, everything I've worked for. And I'm what? Collateral damage? You're my husband. Then act like it. Nathan stood. Stand up to them. Tell them we're a package deal. That you won't be bullied into hiding me like I'm something shameful. It's not that simple. It really is. Nathan grabbed his jacket. Either I matter enough to fight for, or I don't. You decide. He left. Drove around for hours while Maya stayed with a neighbor. When he came home, Elena was gone. Another business trip. They were unraveling. Both knew it. Neither knew how to stop it. 6 months into this slow-motion collapse, Vivian called Elena with an invitation. Your father and I are hosting our annual gala. 200 guests, the usual crowd. We'd love for you to attend. Mother, bring Nathan if you must. Let him see what your world really looks like. Maybe he'll realize where he doesn't fit. Elena should have said no. Should have recognized the trap. But part of her, the part that was tired of fighting, tired of existing between two worlds, thought maybe Vivian was right. Maybe if Nathan saw the full scope of her life, he'd understand why things were so complicated. Or maybe he'd leave on his own, and Elena wouldn't have to make the impossible choice. We'll be there, she said. Ibad. Nathan wore his best suit, the one he'd bought for the wedding. It was off the rack and slightly too big in the shoulders, but it was clean and pressed and the best he had. Elena wore diamonds, actual diamonds, a dress that probably cost more than Nathan's truck, hair and makeup done by professionals who came to the house. She looked beautiful. She looked like a stranger. You ready? She asked. Nathan adjusted his tie. As I'll ever be. The Whitmore estate was obscene, marble everything, chandeliers that probably cost more than Nathan's house, waiters circulating with champagne and hors d'oeuvres Nathan couldn't pronounce. He felt every eye on him the moment they walked in. Is that Elena's husband? Someone whispered. The carpenter, yes. Can you imagine? I heard he has a daughter from a previous marriage. How unfortunate. Nathan kept his expression neutral, smiled when Elena introduced him to people whose names he forgot immediately, shook hands with politicians and CEOs and celebrities who looked through him like he was invisible. Chloe found him by the bar an hour in. Nathan, you actually came. She was already drunk, eyes glittering with malice. Love the suit. Very department store chic. Thanks, Nathan said flatly. Must be overwhelming, all this. She gestured vaguely at the ballroom. So different from your little garage workshop. It's fine. Is it though? Chloe leaned closer. Be honest. Don't you feel out of place, like a fish flopping around on dry land? Chloe, Elena appeared, face tight. Leave him alone. I'm just making conversation, Chloe laughed. No need to be so sensitive, though I suppose that's what happens when you marry down. Everyone's constantly on edge. She walked away laughing. Elena touched Nathan's arm. I'm sorry, she's drunk. She's honest, Nathan said. This is what they all think, isn't it? That I don't belong here. Nathan, it's fine. I knew what I was walking into. But it wasn't fine. And as the night wore on, through a dinner where he used the wrong fork and made small talk that fell flat, and watched Elena transform into this polished, untouchable CEO version of herself. Nathan felt the distance between them growing. This was her world. He was just visiting. The accusation came at 10:30. Vivian's scream cut through the ballroom chatter like a blade. My necklace! Someone stole my necklace! The music stopped. Conversations died. Everyone turned. Vivian stood near the private dressing suite, hand at her bare throat, face pale with shock. My pink diamond necklace. It was right here an hour ago. Now it's gone. Security appeared immediately. Guests started murmuring, looking around suspiciously. And then Chloe spoke up. I saw Nathan near the dressing suite earlier, she said loudly. About 20 minutes ago. He was alone. Every eye in the room swung to Nathan. His stomach dropped. What? He said. No, I went looking for the bathroom. I got turned around. Near the private suites? Vivian's eyes narrowed. Where my jewelry was? I didn't take anything. Of course you'd say that. Vivian's voice rose. But it's quite a coincidence, isn't it? The necklace goes missing right after you were seen in that area. Whispers erupted. I heard he married her for money. Single father, probably desperate. Poor Elena. She must be mortified. Nathan looked at Elena. She was frozen, face white, staring at him. Elena, he said, you know I didn't do this. She didn't respond. Elena, her voice came out strangled. I don't know. I mean, obviously you wouldn't, but what? Nathan's voice cracked. You actually think I'm capable of this? Mother, maybe we should check the... Elena started. No. Vivian cut her off. I want him searched. Now. You can't be serious, Nathan said. I'm dead serious. You'll submit to a search, or I'm calling the police. Elena. Nathan turned to his wife, desperate now. Stop this, please. The ballroom held its breath. Elena looked at Nathan, looked at her mother, looked at the 200 guests watching, phones out, recording. Just let them search you, she said quietly. To clear this up. Something shattered in Nathan's chest. You're serious. It's the fastest way to... You actually believe I could do this. His voice went hollow. After everything, you think I'm a thief. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Security moved in before Nathan could process. 4 men in black suits surrounding him. Sir, if you'll come with us... I didn't steal anything, Nathan said. Then you won't mind being searched. I mind being treated like a criminal in front of 300 people. Sir, Nathan jerked away. Don't touch me. That was the wrong move. 2 guards grabbed his arms. Another yanked at his jacket. Stop. Let go. They weren't gentle. Nathan struggled, and they responded with force. His jacket ripped. Someone's hand caught his collar, tearing the shirt. Buttons scattered across marble. Guests gasped. Phones lifted higher. Nathan fought harder. Not because he was guilty, but because the humiliation was overwhelming, because his wife stood there watching, because everyone was laughing now, actually laughing as security manhandled him like he was nothing. Someone shoved him to his knees. The jacket came off. Shirt hung open. They patted him down roughly, checked his pockets, turned them inside out. Nothing. Of course nothing. But the damage was done. Nathan knelt there on the cold marble floor, shirt torn, breathing hard, surrounded by security, while 300 people stared and recorded and whispered. And Elena had turned away, not defending him, not stopping them, just looking away, like she couldn't bear to watch but wouldn't step in to stop it. Vivian's voice cut through the silence. Well, perhaps I was mistaken. She didn't sound apologetic. Someone checked the other rooms. The necklace must be somewhere. Security hauled Nathan to his feet. You can go, one of them said. Nathan stared at him. Go? You're clear. You can leave. Just like that. Humiliated, assaulted, violated in front of everyone, and now dismissed like it was nothing. Nathan's gaze found Elena across the ballroom. She was crying, silently, still not looking at him. He wanted to scream, to rage, to demand she explain how she could stand there and let this happen. Instead, he picked up his ruined jacket, pulled it over his torn shirt, and walked out. Nobody stopped him. The party continued as he crossed the foyer. By the time he reached the front doors, he could hear music starting up again. Laughter, conversation, like nothing had happened. Nathan stepped into the freezing night air, down the marble steps, past the rows of luxury cars to the street beyond the gates, where he'd parked his truck. He sat in the driver's seat for a long time, hands shaking too badly to start the engine. In his pocket, his phone buzzed. Maya's babysitter, asking if he'd be much longer. Nathan looked at the text, looked at the lit windows of the mansion where his wife was probably making excuses to her family, smoothing things over, being the perfect daughter instead of his wife. Then he scrolled to a contact he hadn't called in 5 years. Hit dial. 3 rings. Nathan? His father's voice was cautious, surprised. They hadn't spoken since before Sarah died. Is everything all right? Nathan's voice came out wrecked. Dad, he said, I need help. Richard Cole answered on the 3rd ring. Nathan. His father's voice carried that same controlled tone Nathan remembered from childhood, the voice of a man who never showed surprise, even when he felt it. Is everything all right? Nathan sat in his truck outside the Whitmore estate, shirt torn, hands still shaking, trying to find words that wouldn't come out broken. Dad, he managed, I need help. Silence on the other end. Not empty silence, the kind that felt like calculation. Richard Cole didn't do anything without thinking it through first. Where are you? Nathan gave him the address. Another pause. The Whitmore estate? Nathan, what are you doing there? It's complicated. I'm sure it is. Richard's tone shifted slightly, still controlled, but something sharper underneath. Stay where you are. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Dad, you don't have to... 20 minutes. The line went dead. Nathan leaned his head against the steering wheel. His phone buzzed again. Maya's babysitter sending a photo of his daughter asleep on the couch, clutching the stuffed elephant Elena had given her last Christmas. The elephant was purple with oversized ears, and Maya loved it more than any toy she'd ever owned. Elena had spent 2 hours searching 5 different stores to find it after Maya mentioned wanting one. That was real, wasn't it? The woman who'd searched for the perfect elephant for his daughter, that was the real Elena. Not the woman who'd stood silent in that ballroom while they ripped Nathan apart. Except maybe both versions were real. Maybe that was the problem. Nathan texted the babysitter that he'd be another hour, then sat in the dark watching guests leave the mansion in pairs and groups, laughing, completely unbothered. To them, tonight was just another party. The entertainment where some nobody got publicly humiliated would probably make good gossip over brunch tomorrow. His phone lit up with a call from Elena. Nathan stared at her name on the screen until it went to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text appeared. Elena, please come back inside. We need to talk. Nathan's thumb hovered over the keyboard. He could type 1,000 things. None of them would change what happened. Another text. Elena, I'm sorry. I panicked. Please. The thing about apologies, Nathan thought, was that they worked better before you let someone get destroyed. After was just cleanup. He didn't respond. Headlights swept across his rearview mirror, expensive headlights, the kind that came on cars Nathan couldn't name, but knew cost more than most people's houses. The car pulled up behind his truck and idled there, engine purring. Nathan watched in the mirror as a man climbed out. Late 50s, steel gray hair, wearing a suit that probably cost what Nathan used to make in a year. He moved like someone used to people getting out of his way. Richard Cole looked exactly like Nathan remembered, just older. Same sharp jaw, same dark eyes that missed nothing, same presence that filled whatever space he occupied. Nathan got out of the truck. They stood on opposite sides of the street, 5 years of silence and unresolved grief between them like a canyon. You look like hell, Richard said finally. Feel worse. Richard's gaze traveled over Nathan's torn shirt, the missing buttons, the jacket Nathan held bunched in one fist. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Who did this? Security. Inside. Nathan gestured at the mansion. It's a long story. I've got time. Here? On the street? Richard glanced at the Whitmore estate, lights blazing in every window, the party clearly still going. His mouth tightened. Get in the car, he said. Dad. Now, Nathan. That tone. Nathan hadn't heard it in years, but his body remembered. The voice that expected obedience and usually got it. He climbed into the passenger seat of his father's Mercedes. The interior smelled like leather and money. Richard got behind the wheel, but didn't start driving, just sat there, hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead. Talk, he said. So Nathan did. He told his father everything, meeting Elena, falling in love, the modest wedding, discovering her real identity. The months of tension with her family, tonight's gala, and the accusation and the search, and Elena's silence. Richard listened without interrupting. When Nathan finished, his father was quiet for a long moment. "You married Elena Whitmore," Richard said slowly. "Vivian and Charles's daughter." "You know them?" "Everyone in our circles knows the Whitmores." Richard's voice carried something that might have been disdain. "Old money trying desperately to stay relevant. Vivian's particularly vicious about it." "Our circles?" Nathan frowned. "Dad, what—" Richard turned to look at him directly. "When's the last time we spoke?" "Really spoke?" "Sarah's funeral." The words tasted bitter. "You came for an hour, left before the reception." "You told me to leave." "Because you spent the entire service on your phone." Nathan's voice rose. "My wife died, and you couldn't be bothered to turn off your goddamn phone for 60 minutes. I was handling—" Richard stopped, started again. "You're right. I was working. I'm always working. It's what I do." "It's all you do." "Yes." No argument, no excuse, just acknowledgement. "It is." They sat in loaded silence. "Why'd you call me?" Richard asked. "After 5 years of nothing, why tonight?" Nathan had been asking himself the same question. He could have called a friend, could have gone home, could have handled this alone like he handled everything else. "I don't know," he said honestly. "Felt like I didn't have anyone else." "What about your wife?" "She's the reason I'm sitting here with a torn shirt and a criminal record's worth of witnesses who watched security assault me." Richard's hands tightened on the wheel. "They put hands on you?" "Roughly." "In front of everyone?" 300 people, give or take." Something dangerous crossed Richard's face. "And Elena allowed it." "She didn't stop it." Nathan's throat felt tight. "I looked at her, Dad, begged her to say something, and she just froze." "Fear," Richard said. "Or shame. Maybe both." "Does it matter which?" "To you? Probably not. To me?" Richard pulled out his phone. "It matters very much." "What are you doing?" "Making a call." Richard scrolled through contacts. "You said this happened 20 minutes ago." "About that." "Security cameras in a place like this? They'll have footage. And if what you're telling me is accurate, the Whitmores just committed assault in front of witnesses while falsely accusing you of theft." Richard's smile was cold. "That's actionable." "Dad, I don't want to sue them." "I'm not talking about a lawsuit." Richard hit dial, pressed the phone to his ear. "I'm talking about consequences." The person on the other end answered immediately. Richard's tone shifted, still controlled, but carrying unmistakable authority. "Marcus." "Richard Cole. I need a full workup on the Whitmore family, assets, debts, business holdings, vulnerabilities, everything. I need it in 2 hours." He paused, listening. "I don't care if it's late. Pull whoever you need. Bill it to my personal account." Another pause. "Because someone hurt my son, and I'm going to remind them why that was a mistake." He ended the call. Nathan stared at his father. "What the hell are you doing?" "What I should have done years ago." Richard pocketed his phone. "Protecting my family." "By going after the Whitmores?" "By showing them exactly who they're dealing with." Richard's expression hardened. "They think you're nobody, Nathan. Some working-class single father who got lucky marrying up. They humiliated you because they thought they could. Because they thought you had no power, no connections, no way to hit back." "I don't." "Wrong." Richard turned to face him fully. "You're a Cole. That means something, whether you've chosen to acknowledge it or not." "I walked away from that name." "The name didn't walk away from you." Richard's voice softened slightly. "I know why you left. After your mother died. After I buried myself in work instead of dealing with grief like a normal human being. I know I failed you. Failed to be the father you needed. So you built your own life, found your own way, and I respected that. Even when it killed me to watch you struggle with furniture restoration work when you could have—" He stopped, shook his head. "Doesn't matter now. What matters is you called me, finally, and I'm not wasting it." Nathan's chest felt tight. "I didn't call you to start a war." "No. You called because you needed your father." Richard's gaze was steady. "So let me be one. For once. Let me handle this." "How?" You'll see. Richard started the car. But first, you're coming home with me, getting cleaned up. Then we're going back to that mansion, and you're going to watch what happens when someone underestimates a Cole. Dad, trust me, Nathan. For the next 2 hours, just trust me. Nathan thought about Elena's texts, about Maya asleep with her purple elephant, about the last 5 years of keeping his distance from his father's world. Okay, he said quietly. 2 hours. Richard pulled away from the curb, leaving the Whitmore estate glowing in the rearview mirror. Nathan's phone buzzed. Another text from Elena. Elena, I know you're angry. I know I messed up, but please don't do anything you'll regret. Let me fix this. Nathan turned the phone off. Richard's penthouse occupied the top 3 floors of a building downtown that Nathan had passed 100 times without realizing his father owned it. The elevator required a key card to access the private floors. The doors opened directly into a foyer that probably cost more than Nathan's entire house. This is where you live? Nathan asked. When I'm not traveling. Richard led him through rooms that looked like a museum, art on the walls, sculptures on pedestals, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Guest suites down the hall. Should be clothes in your size in the closet. You keep clothes in my size? Richard didn't answer, just pointed at a door and disappeared into what was probably his office. The guest suite was bigger than Nathan's living room. The closet held a dozen suits, all new, all exactly Nathan's measurements, tags still attached. Nathan ran his hand over the fabric. Custom tailored, probably Italian, definitely expensive. His father had been buying him clothes. For what? Years. Just in case Nathan ever came back? The thought sat heavy in his chest. He showered, washing off the night's humiliation, watching the water circle the drain and wishing it could take the memory with it. The bathroom had heated floors. The towels were so soft they felt illegal. Nathan dressed in one of the suits, charcoal gray, perfect fit, probably worth more than his truck. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. When he emerged, Richard was in the living room with another man, mid-40s, sharp suit, holding a tablet. Nathan, this is Marcus Chen, my head of corporate intelligence, Richard said. Marcus, my son. Marcus shook Nathan's hand. Mr. Cole, sorry about the circumstances. What'd you find? Richard asked. Marcus tapped his tablet, pulling up documents. The Whitmores are leveraged to their necks. The luxury empire looks good from outside, but they've been bleeding money for 3 years. Bad investments, market shifts, Vivian's spending habits. They're carrying significant debt. How significant? $800 million, secured against their real estate holdings and company stock. Richard's smile was predatory. Who holds the debt? Distributed across 4 major institutions. Marcus swiped through screens. But here's where it gets interesting. One of those institutions is Silverton Financial, which we acquired last year, Richard finished. Exactly. Means Cole Global Holdings currently owns approximately 32% of the Whitmore family's total debt. Marcus looked up. We could call it in. Nathan's stomach dropped. Wait, not yet, Richard said, ignoring Nathan. What else? Whitmore Luxury International stock is privately held, majority controlled by the family trust. But we traced the minority shares, about 18% floating among various investors. Started making calls. Marcus smiled. 3 of those investors owe us favors. Another 2 are looking to liquidate. We could control enough stock to force board decisions within 72 hours. Dad, stop! Nathan stepped forward. This is insane. This is business. This is my wife's family. Who assaulted you in public? Richard's voice went cold. Or have you forgotten? I haven't forgotten anything. But destroying their entire company is exactly what they deserve. Richard stood. They humiliated you because they thought you were powerless. I'm simply correcting that misconception. By going nuclear? By teaching them a lesson. Richard moved to the windows, looking out over the city. You think this ends if you walk away? They'll keep treating you like dirt. Elena will keep choosing them over you. Nothing changes unless you change it. Not like this. Then how? Richard turned. Please enlighten me. How do you plan to fix a marriage where your wife stood by while her family destroyed you? Nathan didn't have an answer. Marcus cleared his throat. Should I proceed with acquiring the minority shares? Yes, Richard said. No, Nathan said simultaneously. They stared at each other. This is my call, Richard said. It's my life, which they tried to ruin tonight. Richard's expression softened slightly. Nathan, I understand you're angry with me. You have every right to be. But don't mistake my absence these past years for not caring. You're my son, the only family I have left, and I will burn their entire world down before I let them hurt you again. The words hung between them. Nathan thought about sitting in his truck, hands shaking, feeling smaller than he'd ever felt in his life. Thought about Elena's silence, about 300 people watching him get torn apart like entertainment. I need to think, he said. We don't have time for thinking. The longer we wait, then give me 30 minutes. Nathan's voice came out harder than intended. You want to be my father? Start by listening. I need 30 minutes to clear my head before you declare war on my wife's family. Richard studied him for a long moment. 30 minutes. Then we move. Nathan walked out onto the terrace. The city stretched below, lights everywhere, people living their lives completely unaware that 20 stories up, two men were planning the destruction of an empire. His phone was still off. Part of him wanted to turn it on, see if Elena had called again. The other part knew what he'd find. More apologies, more explanations, more words that wouldn't change what happened. The terrace door opened. Richard stepped out, holding 2 glasses of bourbon. You drink now? He asked, offering one to Nathan. Sometimes. They stood at the railing, not talking, just existing in the same space for the first time in years. Your mother would hate this, Richard said eventually. All of it, the revenge, the corporate warfare. She always said I was too quick to burn bridges. She was right. Usually was. Richard sipped his bourbon. She'd know what to tell you right now, how to fix this. I never had her gift for that, for knowing what people needed to hear. You're doing fine. I'm doing what I know. Money, power, leverage. Richard's voice went quiet. But what you need is probably something else entirely, and I have no idea what that is. Nathan looked at his father, this titan of industry who'd built an empire, who could destroy the Whitmores with a few phone calls, who stood here admitting he was lost. I loved her, Nathan said. Elena, I really did. Past tense? I don't know anymore. Nathan drained half his glass. How do you love someone who won't fight for you? You don't. Richard's answer was immediate. Or you do, and it destroys you slowly. Those are the options. Great choices. I didn't say they were good. Just honest. Richard turned to face him. Here's what I know. You called me tonight because you hit bottom. Because the woman you married showed you exactly where you rank in her priorities, and it wasn't first. Maybe not even second. So now you decide. Do you keep accepting that? Or do you show her what it costs to treat a coal like garbage? This isn't about the name. Everything's about the name. Richard's intensity ratcheted up. You can pretend it doesn't matter, that you're just Nathan the furniture guy, but that's a choice you made. A choice that let people like the Whitmores think they could walk all over you. Well, tonight they learned different. And tomorrow, they're going to learn exactly how expensive that mistake was. And Elena? What about her? She's going to be caught in the middle of whatever war you're planning. Richard's smile was cold. She made her choice when she stood silent. Actions have consequences. She's about to learn that too. Nathan's phone felt heavy in his pocket, still off, still avoiding the inevitable conversation. Turn it on, Richard said, reading his mind. Let's see what she's saying. Nathan powered up the phone. Immediately, notifications flooded in. 12 missed calls from Elena. 23 text messages. 3 voicemails. He scrolled through the texts. Elena, please answer. Elena, I'm sorry. Elena, they found the necklace. It was in Chloe's room the whole time. Nathan stopped scrolling. What? Richard leaned over to look. Nathan opened the message thread, reading the full context. Elena, Mother just told me. Chloe had the necklace. She took it earlier and forgot. This was all a mistake. Elena, Nathan, please. I know you're angry, but this changes things. You were right. They were wrong. Can we please talk? A mistake, Nathan said flatly. 300 witnesses watched me get assaulted over a mistake. Richard's expression was unreadable. Convenient timing, the necklace suddenly appears right after you leave. You think they're lying? I think the Whitmores are very good at damage control. Richard took out his own phone. Marcus, pull security footage from the Whitmore estate. Everything from the last 3 hours. I want to see exactly when and where this necklace was found. He ended the call and looked at Nathan. If this was a setup, if they planted that accusation to humiliate you, then we have them on conspiracy, false accusation, and assault. That's criminal charges on top of the civil liability. And if it really was just Chloe being careless, then they're incompetent instead of malicious. Richard shrugged. Either way, they owe you more than an apology. Nathan's phone rang. Elena's name lit up the screen. Answer it, Richard said. Let's hear what she has to say. Nathan hesitated, then swiped to accept. Put it on speaker. Nathan, thank God. Elena's voice came through strained, exhausted. Did you see my messages? I saw them. The necklace. It was all a misunderstanding. Chloe had it. She took it earlier to try on and forgot she was wearing it under her wrap. Mother just found it 20 minutes ago. Nathan, I'm so sorry. This whole thing was convenient, Nathan finished. Silence on the other end. What? Elena asked carefully. Convenient. The necklace appears right after I leave, after you've had time to realize how bad this looks, after your family's already destroyed me in front of everyone who matters in your world. Nathan, no one destroyed. I was assaulted, Elena. Your mother's security ripped my clothes off and threw me on the ground while 300 people watched and filmed it. That's not hyperbole. That happened. I know, and you stood there. Nathan's voice cracked despite himself. I looked at you, begged you with my eyes to say something, to defend me, to be my wife, and you turned away. I was scared. Of what? Your mother? Your reputation? What could possibly be scary enough that you'd let that happen to someone you claim to love? Elena was crying now. He could hear it in her breathing. I panicked. The crowd, the pressure, everyone watching, I froze. It was wrong. I know it was wrong. But Nathan, please, this isn't who I am. You know that. Do I? Yes. You know me. The real me. Not the CEO, not the Whitmore daughter. Me. The woman who searched 5 stores for Maya's elephant, who learned to make your mother's pot roast recipe, who fell asleep on your couch watching those terrible sci-fi movies you love. That's real. That's us. Nathan closed his eyes. That woman wouldn't have let tonight happen. You're right. Elena's voice steadied slightly. She wouldn't have. I failed you, completely. And I can't take it back. But I can promise you it never happens again. I can stand up to them, set boundaries, make it clear that you come first. Promises are easy when the damage is done. Then let me prove it. Desperation crept in. Come back. Right now. I'll make a public statement. Tell everyone exactly what happened, that you were innocent, that my family was wrong. A statement? Nathan laughed bitterly. You think words fix this? Then tell me what does. Tell me how to make this right. I don't know if you can. The silence that followed felt infinite. Nathan, Elena whispered, please don't do this. Do what? Give up on us. I know tonight was horrible. I know I failed the most important test of our marriage. But we can survive this. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. Nathan opened his eyes, looking at his father. This was a choice. You chose your family's comfort over my dignity, and I need time to figure out if I can live with that. How much time? I don't know. Nathan, I have to go. Wait, please. Where are you? Are you safe? Nathan almost laughed. Yeah, I'm safe, safer than I was at your family's mansion anyway. I love you. The words sat there. Nathan wanted them to matter, wanted love to be enough to erase what happened, but it wasn't. Goodbye, Elena. He ended the call. Richard was watching him carefully. Well? She says it was an accident. Chloe forgot she was wearing the necklace. You believe that? Nathan thought about Chloe's sneers, Vivian's cold satisfaction, the precise timing of the accusation. No, but I can't prove otherwise. Yet. Richard checked his phone. Marcus is pulling the footage now. If this was orchestrated, we'll have evidence within the hour. And then what? Then you decide. Richard's expression was serious. This is your life, Nathan. Your marriage. I can give you weapons, but you're the one who chooses whether to use them. Nathan looked down at the city. Somewhere down there, Maya was sleeping. Dreaming kid dreams, completely unaware her father's life was imploding. I need to get home, he said. Maya's with the sitter. She can't wake up tomorrow with me gone. I'll have a car take you. My truck is still at the Whitmore estate, and you're not going back there tonight. Richard's tone left no room for argument. Tomorrow I'll have it delivered. Tonight, you go home to your daughter. Nathan nodded, too exhausted to fight. Richard walked him to the private elevator. As the doors opened, he caught Nathan's arm. Whatever you decide, Richard said quietly. About Elena, about the Whitmores, about all of this, I'm here. You don't have to face it alone anymore. Why now? Nathan asked. 5 years of nothing, and now you're father of the year? Because 5 years ago you told me to leave. Tonight you asked me to stay. Richard's grip tightened briefly, then released. I'm a lot of things, Nathan, most of them not great, but I learned from my mistakes. Eventually. The elevator doors started to close. Dad, Nathan said. Richard looked up. Thanks. For tonight. For showing up. Something flickered across Richard's face. Surprise, maybe, or relief. Always, he said. The doors closed. Nathan rode down 20 floors in silence, walked out to where a driver waited with a black sedan, and climbed into the back seat. His phone buzzed. Not Elena this time. Marcus Chen. Marcus. Footage analysis complete. You'll want to see this. Sending encrypted link now. A second message appeared with a URL. Nathan clicked it. The video loaded, security camera footage from the Whitmore estate, timestamp showing earlier tonight. The angle covered the private dressing suite where Vivian's jewelry had been kept. Nathan watched Vivian enter at 9:47 p.m. She walked directly to the jewelry case, opened it, removed the pink diamond necklace, and handed it to someone off camera. The camera angle shifted to show who received it. Chloe. They spoke for 30 seconds. No audio, but their body language was clear, planning something. Chloe nodded, took the necklace, left. 10 minutes later, Nathan appeared on camera, clearly lost, looking for the bathroom just like he'd said. He glanced around, checked one door, found it locked, moved on. Never went near the jewelry case, never touched anything. He was on camera for maybe 45 seconds total before finding a staff member who directed him back to the ballroom. 20 minutes after that, Vivian's scream echoed through the mansion. The footage continued. Showed the aftermath. Nathan being searched, humiliated, thrown out. Then, an hour later, showed Vivian and Chloe returning to the dressing suite. Chloe pulled the necklace from inside her wrap, exactly where she'd hidden it, and handed it back to her mother. They both smiled. Nathan watched the video 3 times. It wasn't an accident. It was a setup. Deliberate, calculated, designed specifically to destroy him, and Elena's family had executed it perfectly. His phone rang. Richard. You saw it, his father said. Not a question. Yeah. Say the word, Nathan. Just say it, and by morning the Whitmores won't have an empire to hide behind. Nathan thought about Maya's elephant, about Elena searching 5 stores, about promises that meant nothing when your family decided someone didn't belong. Do it, Nathan said. Richard's voice carried a satisfaction Nathan had never heard before. You're sure? Nathan looked at the frozen frame on his phone. Vivian and Chloe smiling after retrieving the necklace they'd deliberately hidden, after orchestrating his public destruction like it was a game. I'm sure. Then consider it done. Richard paused. This won't be subtle, Nathan. When I move against them, it'll be comprehensive. They'll know exactly who hit them and why. Good. You understand what this means? For Elena? Nathan's throat tightened. She made her choice. And you're making yours. Yeah. Nathan closed his eyes. I am. I'll call you in the morning with updates. Get some sleep. The line went dead. Nathan sat in the back of the sedan as the driver navigated through late-night traffic, city lights blurring past the window. His phone felt heavy in his hand. Evidence of conspiracy, proof of deliberate cruelty, ammunition for the war his father was about to wage. Another text from Elena appeared. Elena, please just tell me you're okay. I won't push. Just let me know you're safe. Nathan typed a response, deleted it, typed another. Finally settled on, I'm fine. With Maya tomorrow. Don't call. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Elena, okay. I love you. Nathan turned off the phone. The driver pulled up to Nathan's house 20 minutes later. The babysitter, Mrs. Chen from 3 doors down, opened the door looking relieved. Mr. Cole, thank goodness. Maya's been asleep for hours, but I was starting to worry. She stopped, taking in Nathan's expensive suit, his hollow expression. Is everything all right? Long night, Nathan said. Thanks for staying late. Let me grab my wallet. Don't worry about it. Mrs. Chen gathered her things. Maya's an angel. Always is. After she left, Nathan stood in his quiet house. Maya's backpack by the door, her drawings covering the fridge, the purple elephant on the couch where she'd been sleeping, evidence of the life he'd built, the one that felt real. He checked on Maya, sprawled across her bed, one arm hanging off the side, completely dead to the world the way only kids could sleep. Nathan pulled the blanket up, kissed her forehead. Love you, Bug, he whispered. She mumbled something that might have been love you too, or might have been nonsense. Hard to tell with an 8-year-old. Nathan retreated to his own room, stripped off the expensive suit, and stood under a hot shower until the water ran cold. When he finally collapsed into bed, his mind wouldn't stop racing. By morning, his father would have started dismantling the Whitmore empire. Elena would wake up to find her family's world crumbling, and Nathan would have to figure out what came next. Sleep felt impossible. He must have managed it anyway, because suddenly sunlight was streaming through the window, and Maya was jumping on his bed. Dad! Dad! Wake up! Mrs. Patterson called and said there's no school today because of a broken water pipe. And can we go to the park, please? Nathan groaned, checking his phone. 7:30 a.m. 16 missed calls from Elena, 42 text messages, 3 voicemails, and 1 message from Richard, sent at 6 a.m. It started, call me when you're up. Dad? Maya bounced harder. Park? Yeah, Bug, park. Nathan sat up, ruffling her hair. Give me 20 minutes. She squealed and ran off to get dressed. Nathan called his father while making coffee. Richard answered immediately. Good morning. What'd you do? Silverton Financial called in the Whitmore's debt at 6 a.m. All $800 million of it, due in 30 days. Richard sounded entirely too pleased with himself. Their lawyers are currently scrambling to find refinancing options. They won't find any. Why not? Because I spent the last 3 hours calling in favors. Every major institution that might have helped them now has reasons to decline. Richard paused. Also, the minority shareholders voted this morning. Cole Global Holdings now controls 48% of Whitmore Luxury International's stock. Nathan nearly dropped his coffee. How? Money and leverage. The 3 investors who owed us favors sold their shares at a premium. The 2 looking to liquidate got offers they couldn't refuse. And I found 5 other small shareholders who were happy to sell once they learned the company's debt situation. Richard's tone was matter-of-fact. We don't have majority control yet, but we have enough to force board meetings, demand financial transparency, and generally make their lives difficult. Dad, that's just the beginning. Richard's voice hardened. At 9 a.m., my lawyers are filing a civil suit against Vivian and Chloe Whitmore personally for conspiracy, false accusation, and assault. We're attaching the security footage as evidence. By noon, it'll be all over the financial news. Nathan's head spun. You moved fast. I had motivation. Richard paused. How are you doing? Honestly, I don't know. Nathan watched Maya through the doorway, sorting through her toy bin, looking for her favorite ball. Part of me feels like I should stop this. The other part wants to watch them burn. Those aren't mutually exclusive feelings, aren't they? You can want justice and still feel conflicted about the cost. That's called being human. Richard's tone softened slightly. Have you heard from Elena? 42 texts and counting. She knows by now. Her family's lawyers would have called her immediately. Nathan's stomach twisted. What's she saying? I haven't read them. Nathan, I can't. His voice cracked. If I read them, if I hear her try to explain or apologize or defend them, I might waver, and I can't afford to waver right now. Richard was quiet for a moment. What do you need from me? Keep doing what you're doing. I'll handle Maya, figure out my next move. We'll talk later. Call me if anything changes. Nathan ended the call as Maya appeared with her ball and that purple elephant tucked under her arm. Ready, she announced. The park was empty this early on a weekday. Maya ran straight for the swings while Nathan sat on a bench, phone buzzing constantly in his pocket. He ignored it. Dad, push me, Maya called. Nathan obliged, pushing the swing higher while Maya shrieked with delight. For 20 minutes, he focused only on this, his daughter laughing, the morning sun, the simple act of being present. Then his phone rang with a number he didn't recognize. Nathan almost ignored it, but something made him answer. Mr. Cole? A woman's voice, professional and clipped. This is Jennifer Morrison from Channel 7 News. I'm calling about the lawsuit filed against the Whitmore family this morning. Do you have a comment? Nathan's blood went cold. How did you get this number? Public records. The lawsuit lists you as the plaintiff. Mr. Cole, our sources indicate you were assaulted at a private event last night after being falsely accused of theft. Can you confirm? No comment. Nathan ended the call. 2 seconds later, another call from a different number, another reporter. Nathan turned off his phone. Dad? Maya had stopped swinging. What's wrong? Nothing, Bug. Just work stuff. You look worried. Kids noticed everything. Nathan forced a smile. I'm fine. Want to get ice cream? Maya's eyes lit up. For breakfast? Why not? They spent the next hour at the ice cream shop, Maya chattering about her friends and her favorite teacher, while Nathan's turned-off phone sat like a bomb in his pocket. Eventually, they headed home. 3 news vans were parked on Nathan's street. Whoa, Maya breathed. What are all those cameras for? Nathan's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Stay in the truck, okay? But, Maya, stay here. Lock the doors. He parked in the driveway. Immediately, reporters swarmed. Mr. Cole, is it true you were assaulted? Did your wife know about the conspiracy? How does it feel to be at war with one of the city's wealthiest families? Nathan pushed through them without responding, unlocked his front door, got inside, slammed it shut. Through the window, he could see Maya still in the truck, eyes wide. His house phone started ringing, then his doorbell. Knocking. Nathan pulled out his cell, powered it on, called his father. They're at my house, he said when Richard answered. Reporters. How the hell? The lawsuit's public record. Someone leaked your address. Richard cursed. Get Maya and get out. Come to my building. I'll have security waiting. I can't just abandon my house. You can and you will. Nathan, this is going to get worse before it gets better. The Whitmores will push back. Media will dig into everything. Your life becomes a circus. I can protect you, but not if you're sitting exposed in that house. Nathan looked out the window. More vans arriving, a helicopter overhead. Okay, he said. We're coming. Use the back entrance. Cut through the miller's yard. They're at work. I'll send a car to meet you 2 streets over. Nathan grabbed essentials, clothes for him and Maya, important documents, her favorite stuffed animals, shoved everything in a duffel bag. Then he went out to the truck, keeping his head down as cameras flashed and questions flew. Maya, we're going on an adventure, he said, forcing brightness into his voice. Why are all those people here? It's complicated. I'll explain later. Right now we need to go. Quietly. He drove around back, parked behind his garage where the reporters couldn't see, and led Maya through the neighbor's yard. A black sedan waited on the next street over exactly like Richard promised. The driver nodded at Nathan. Mr. Cole. Miss. Maya clutched her elephant. Dad, I'm scared. I know, Bug. Nathan buckled her in. But it's going to be okay. Promise. The sedan pulled away smoothly. Nathan watched his house disappear in the rearview mirror, surrounded by news crews, and wondered if he'd just made everything infinitely worse. Richard's building had underground parking that bypassed the main entrance entirely. Security escorted them to the private elevator. Maya's hand gripped Nathan's tightly the entire way up. Richard met them at the penthouse door, took one look at Maya's frightened face, and his expression softened. You must be Maya, he said, crouching to her level. I'm your grandfather. Maya looked at Nathan. I have a grandfather? It's complicated, Nathan said. I've been away a long time, Richard told Maya, but I'm back now, and I'm very happy to meet you. Maya studied him with serious 8-year-old eyes. Do you like elephants? I suppose so. She held up her purple elephant. This is Mr. Fluff. Elena gave him to me. Something flickered across Richard's face at Elena's name. He's very nice. He's the best. Maya hugged the elephant tighter. Is Elena coming here too? Nathan's chest constricted. No, Bug. She's not. Why not? Because Nathan struggled for words that would make sense to an 8-year-old. Because sometimes grown-ups need space to figure things out. Are you and Elena fighting? Sort of. Maya's face crumpled. But she promised she'd never leave. She promised. I know she did. Nathan pulled his daughter close. But things change sometimes. People change. I don't want things to change. Maya started crying into Mr. Fluff. I want Elena to come back. I want everything to be normal. Richard stood awkwardly, clearly out of his depth with a crying child. Nathan carried Maya to the guest suite, sat with her while she sobbed, and felt like the world's biggest failure. His daughter was falling apart because Nathan had married someone who promised forever and delivered abandonment, just like Sarah's death all over again. Eventually, Maya cried herself out and fell asleep clutching Mr. Fluff. Nathan found Richard in the living room, staring out at the city. I didn't think about her, Nathan said quietly. Maya, what this would do to her. You couldn't have predicted the media circus. Not that. The whole thing. Letting Elena into our lives, letting Maya get attached, building this fantasy family. Nathan's voice cracked. She lost her mother. Now she's losing Elena. What kind of father does that? The kind who wanted his daughter to have a complete family. Richard turned. You made choices based on love. They didn't work out. That doesn't make you a failure. Tell that to my 8-year-old who just cried herself to sleep. She'll survive. Kids are resilient. Yeah, well, she shouldn't have to be. Nathan scrubbed his face. Maybe I should call this off. The lawsuit, the debt, all of it. Let the Whitmores win if it means Maya doesn't have to live in hiding from reporters. And teach your daughter that people can hurt you without consequences? Richard shook his head. That's not resilience, that's surrender. Maybe surrender's smarter. Since when are you smart? Richard's voice held an edge. You married a woman who lied about being a billionaire. You endured years of abuse from her family without pushing back. You stood there last night while they destroyed you publicly. None of those were smart choices, Nathan, but they were your choices. So now you get to make another one. Quit and let them think they won, or finish what you started. Nathan wanted to argue, couldn't find the energy. His phone buzzed. Elena again. Elena, I know you're angry. I know you have every right to be. But please, Nathan, think about what you're doing. This lawsuit, the debt call, taking over our stock. This isn't you. This is your father manipulating you into a war you don't want. Nathan showed Richard the message. His father snorted. Manipulating you. That's rich coming from someone who lied about her identity for over a year. She's not entirely wrong, though, is she? Nathan met his father's eyes. You are manipulating this, calling in debts, buying stock, filing lawsuits. I said yes, but you're the one executing. Would you prefer to handle it yourself? I don't know how to handle any of this. Nathan sat heavily on the couch. I restore furniture. I make Maya breakfast. I'm not built for corporate warfare. Neither was I at first. Richard sat across from him. But I learned, and so will you, if you choose to. What if I don't want to learn? Then you walk away, and I finish this without you. Richard's expression was unreadable. But Maya still lives in hiding. Elena's family still thinks they won, and nothing changes except you've confirmed their belief that you're too weak to fight back. Nathan's phone rang. Not Elena this time, an unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him. Mr. Cole? A man's voice, smooth and professional. This is James Whitmore, Elena's uncle. We haven't met, but I think it's time we had a conversation. How did you get this number? I have resources. James paused. I'm calling to discuss a resolution to this unfortunate situation. There's nothing to discuss. I think there is. You're angry, understandably so. My family acted poorly last night, but this scorched earth approach your father's taking, it hurts everyone, including Elena. Elena made her choices. She made mistakes, human ones. She froze under pressure. That doesn't erase 2 years of marriage. James's tone shifted, becoming more persuasive. Look, Nathan, I'm going to be blunt. You don't want this war. The media attention, the legal battles, the cost to your daughter's privacy, it's not worth it. Let's meet. Talk this through like reasonable men. I'm sure we can find a solution that satisfies everyone. What kind of solution? That depends what you want. Money? A formal apology? Assurance this never happens again? Name your price. Nathan laughed bitterly. You think I'm doing this for money? Everyone has a price. Not for this. Nathan's voice hardened. Your family didn't just insult me. They orchestrated a conspiracy to destroy me publicly because they thought I wasn't good enough for Elena. Because they thought I was nobody. Well, I'm not nobody. And I'm done pretending their approval matters. So this is about ego. This is about consequences. Nathan stood, pacing. You want to know what I want? I want Vivian and Chloe to face criminal charges for what they did. I want the security footage played in court so everyone sees exactly who they are. I want Elena to understand what it costs when you stand silent while someone you claim to love gets destroyed. And you think a lawsuit accomplishes that? It's a start. James was quiet for a moment. You're making a mistake. The Whitmores don't lose, Mr. Cole. We've been playing this game for generations. Your father might have money and influence, but we have history, connections, relationships built over decades. Push us, and we push back harder than you can imagine. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. James's voice went cold. Think about your daughter. Think about what happens when we start digging into your past, your late wife's accident, every mistake you've ever made. Think about Maya's face on the news as the media dissects your entire life looking for dirt. Nathan's hand tightened on the phone. You stay away from my daughter. Then drop the lawsuit, call off your father, let this end before it gets uglier. Or what? Or you'll regret it. James paused. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, we go to war. And Mr. Cole, you won't like how that war ends. The line went dead. Nathan stood frozen, James's threat echoing in his mind. Richard had been listening, his expression dark. Let me guess. Intimidation tactics. He threatened Maya, threatened to dig into Sarah's death, drag everything through the media. Empty threats, they're panicking. You don't know that. I absolutely do. Richard stood, pulled out his phone. James Whitmore is Elena's uncle, but he's also the family's fixer. When things get messy, he cleans up. The fact that he's calling you directly means they're desperate. Richard started typing. We're going to need better security, particularly around Maya. Dad, non-negotiable. If they're threatening your daughter, we respond with overwhelming force. Richard made a call. Marcus, I need a full security detail. 24/7 protection for Nathan and his daughter. Armed, discreet, best people we have. Yes, immediately. He ended the call and looked at Nathan. This is what I meant by comprehensive. They threaten Maya, we make sure she's untouchable. They try to dig up dirt, we counter with our own investigation. They want war? Richard's smile was sharp. We'll give them one they can't win. Nathan thought about Maya asleep in the other room, clutching that purple elephant. Thought about reporters camped outside his house. Thought about Elena's family treating his daughter like collateral damage. What do you need from me? He asked. Let me handle the Whitmores. You focus on Maya, on yourself. Figure out what you want when this is over. With Elena, with your life, with everything. And if I decide I want out, want to just disappear with Maya somewhere they can't find us, then I'll make that happen too. Richard's expression softened. But Nathan, running doesn't solve anything. It just delays the inevitable. Eventually, you have to stand your ground. Nathan's phone buzzed. Elena again. Elena, my uncle called you. Please don't listen to him. He doesn't speak for me. I would never threaten Maya. Never. Please believe me. Another text immediately after. Elena, I'm coming over. We need to talk face to face. Nathan showed Richard. Do you want to see her? His father asked. That was the question, wasn't it? Did Nathan want to face his wife? The woman he'd loved, who'd let him be destroyed, who was now caught in the crossfire of a war she didn't start but couldn't stop? I don't know, Nathan admitted. Then I'll make the decision for you. Not yet. You're too raw. She's too desperate. Nothing productive comes from that conversation right now. She deserves to know I'm okay. That Maya's okay. She forfeited that right when she stood silent. Richard's voice was firm. But if it makes you feel better, I'll have Marcus send her a message. Confirm you and Maya are safe. Request no contact for 48 hours. Professional, clean, gives you time to breathe. Nathan nodded, too exhausted to argue. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Security arrived. 6 men in suits who positioned themselves around the building with military precision. Marcus showed up with updates on the lawsuit, the debt situation, media coverage. Richard fielded calls from lawyers, reporters, business associates, and Nathan sat with Maya when she woke, playing games on the tablet Richard provided, pretending everything was normal while his world collapsed. By evening, the story had exploded across every news outlet. Billionaire CEO's husband sues in-laws for assault and conspiracy, read one headline. Cole versus Whitmore, the society war nobody saw coming, said another. Poor single dad or secret heir? The truth about Nathan Cole, speculated a third. That last one stung. Reporters had already started digging, found records of Richard Cole's family, Nathan's connection, the estrangement. By tomorrow, the narrative would shift from humble carpenter wronged by wealthy in-laws to billionaire's son playing victim. The truth was more complicated than either story. But nobody cared about complicated. Dad? Maya looked up from her game. Why are people saying mean things about you on TV? Nathan grabbed the remote, turned off the news. Don't listen to them, Bug. But they said you're lying, that you're rich and just pretending to be normal. It's complicated. You keep saying that. Maya's voice was small. I don't like complicated. I want things to be simple again. Me too. Can we go home soon? Nathan looked at his daughter, this 8-year-old who'd already lost one parent, who'd welcomed Elena into their lives with open arms, who was now paying the price for adult failures. Soon, he promised, knowing it was probably a lie. That night, after Maya was asleep, Nathan sat on the terrace with his father. The city sprawled below them, millions of people living their normal lives, completely unaware that 20 stories up, 2 men were planning the systematic destruction of an empire. The board meeting's tomorrow, Richard said, nursing a bourbon. Whitmore Luxury International. We've got enough shares to demand a vote of no confidence in the current leadership. You're going after Elena's position. I'm going after accountability. Richard's gaze was steady. Vivian's on the board, so is Chloe. We remove them, install new leadership, restructure the company's governance so they can't abuse power like this again. And Elena? That depends on her. If she sides with her family, she goes down with them. If she separates herself, publicly condemns what they did, shows genuine accountability, maybe she survives. You're making her choose. Life is making her choose. I'm just forcing the timeline. Richard looked at Nathan. Do you still love her? The question hit harder than expected. Nathan thought about Elena searching for Maya's elephant, about quiet evenings cooking dinner together, about the way she laughed at his terrible jokes, about her silence in that ballroom. I don't know, he said honestly. Part of me does. The rest is just angry, hurt, betrayed. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Everyone keeps saying that, because it's true. Richard finished his bourbon. You can love someone and still refuse to accept how they treat you. You can grieve a relationship while knowing it needed to end. Human emotions aren't binary, Nathan. They're messy. Helpful. Richard almost smiled. I know you want answers, clear direction. But this is your life, your choice. I can destroy the Whitmores, can give you every weapon you need to fight back. But what you do with Elena, that's yours to figure out. Nathan's phone buzzed. He'd stopped checking Elena's messages hours ago. There were too many, each one more desperate than the last. This time, it wasn't Elena. It was a news alert. Breaking. Security footage from Whitmore gala shows conspiracy to frame Nathan Cole. Criminal charges expected. Nathan opened the article. Someone had leaked the video. The full footage showing Vivian and Chloe planning the setup, Nathan's innocence, their retrieval of the necklace afterward. It was everywhere, every major outlet. Social media exploding, public opinion shifting in real time. Did you? Nathan looked at his father. Richard shook his head. Not me. Must have been someone inside the investigation. Nathan's phone rang. Elena. He stared at her name on the screen. Answer it, Richard said quietly. You can't avoid her forever. Nathan swiped to accept. Elena. Nathan, thank God. Her voice was wrecked. Tears and exhaustion and something that might have been panic. Have you seen the news? Yeah. It's true, isn't it? My mother and sister, they actually... She couldn't finish. You didn't know? Of course I didn't know. Elena's voice rose. Do you really think I would have stood there if I knew it was a setup? That I would have let them... She broke off, crying now. Nathan, I swear to you, I had no idea. I thought Chloe genuinely forgot about the necklace. I thought it was an accident, but they planned it. My family deliberately destroyed you. And I defended them. I made excuses. She dissolved into sobs. Nathan closed his eyes, hating that he could still feel sympathy for her. Elena, I confronted them, Mother and Chloe. Demanded the truth. And you know what my mother said? Elena's laugh was bitter. She said she did it for my own good, to show me you weren't worthy, to prove you'd embarrass the family. She genuinely believed she was helping me. That's insane. That's my family. Elena's voice steadied slightly. I told them I'm done, cut all ties, moved out of the family estate tonight. I'm staying at a hotel because I can't be near them right now. Nathan didn't know what to say to that. I know this doesn't fix anything, Elena continued. I know cutting them off doesn't erase what I did, standing there, letting it happen. But Nathan, please understand, I didn't know. I really, truly didn't know. Would it have mattered? Nathan asked quietly. If you had known, would you have stopped them? The silence stretched. I want to say yes, Elena whispered finally. But honestly, I don't know. 2 days ago, I might have tried to smooth it over, minimize the damage, protect everyone. That's what I always do. Mediate, compromise, keep the peace. But watching that footage, seeing how they smiled afterward, her voice cracked. I don't know who I am anymore, or who I thought I was. Yeah, Nathan said. Welcome to the club. Can I see you, please? I need to see you and Maya. No. Nathan, I need time, Elena. Space. Maya needs speed. Every time I see you or talk to you, He struggled for words. I'm so angry. At them, at you, at myself for not seeing this coming, and I can't think clearly when you're crying in my ear. How much time? I don't know. Days? Weeks? However long it takes. Nathan's voice hardened. You stood there, Elena. Whatever your reasons, whatever you knew or didn't know, when I needed you most, you weren't there. That's the fact I keep coming back to. I know. Elena's voice was barely audible. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life regretting it, but please don't give up on us. On me. I can be better. I will be better. Maybe. Nathan looked out at the city, but better doesn't erase what happened. So what now? Now you figure out who you want to be without your family telling you. And I figure out if the person I married ever actually existed, or if she was just the version you thought I wanted to see. Nathan, I have to go. Maya needs me. Tell her I love her. Please, tell her I'm sorry. I will. Nathan ended the call before she could say anything else. Richard was watching him carefully. How are you feeling? Like I just kicked a puppy. Nathan scrubbed his face. She cut ties with her family, moved out. Damage control. She's seen which way the wind's blowing. Or she's genuinely horrified by what they did. Could be both. Richard stood. The board meeting's at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You should be there. Why? Because it's time the Whitmores saw exactly who they're dealing with. Richard's expression was serious. Not Nathan the carpenter. Nathan Cole, heir to Cole Global Holdings. Show them the man they tried to destroy. Show them what that's going to cost. Nathan thought about it. about walking into that boardroom, facing Vivian and Chloe, watching them realize their mistake. "Okay," he said, "I'll be there." The Whitmore Luxury International headquarters occupied 40 floors of gleaming glass and steel in the financial district. Nathan had never been inside. Elena always kept her work life carefully separated from their modest existence. Now, standing in the marble lobby at 9:30 in the morning, he understood why. Everything screamed money, old money, new money, money that had been carefully cultivated over generations into something that looked like taste. The security desk alone probably cost more than Nathan's entire house. Richard adjusted his tie, looking completely at home. "Ready?" Nathan tugged at his own collar, another custom suit from his father's endless supply, this one navy blue that fit like it had been painted on. "No." "Good. Means you're paying attention." Richard nodded at the security guard. "Richard Cole and Nathan Cole. We're expected at the board meeting." The guard checked his list, eyes widening slightly. "Top floor. They're waiting for you." The elevator ride up felt like descending into battle. Nathan's reflection stared back from the polished doors. He looked nothing like the man who'd been humiliated 3 nights ago. The expensive suit, the professional haircut Richard's stylist had given him this morning, the way he carried himself now that he'd stopped hiding who he was, he looked like a Cole. The thought sat uncomfortably. "Remember," Richard said as they rose past the 30th floor, "you're not here to apologize or explain. You're here to watch." "Watch what?" "Justice." The elevator chimed. Doors opened. "Try to enjoy it." The executive floor was all dark wood and understated luxury. A receptionist jumped up immediately. "Mr. Cole, Mr. Cole, the board is assembled. Conference room A, right this way." She led them down a hallway lined with portraits of former CEOs, all stern-faced men in suits. At the end, massive double doors stood open. Nathan could hear voices inside, tense, arguing. Richard walked in first, Nathan followed. The conference room was enormous, dominated by a table that could have seated 30 people. Currently 12 were present. Nathan recognized most of them from news coverage, board members, major shareholders, executives. And at the head of the table, looking like she'd aged 10 years and 3 days, sat Vivian Whitmore. The room went silent. Vivian's face drained of color. "Richard, I didn't realize you'd be attending personally." "Wouldn't miss it." Richard took a seat halfway down the table, gesturing for Nathan to sit beside him. "I believe you know my son." Every eye swung to Nathan. He met Vivian's gaze directly, watched recognition and horror dawn in equal measure. "Your son," she repeated faintly. "Nathan Cole, heir to Cole Global Holdings, though I believe you met him under different circumstances." Richard's smile could have cut glass. "At your anniversary gala, where your security assaulted him." Chloe was there too, Nathan realized, sitting 3 seats down from her mother, looking like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "This is highly irregular," Vivian started. "What's irregular," Richard cut in, "is orchestrating a conspiracy to falsely accuse someone of theft, then having them physically assaulted in front of 300 witnesses. But we'll get to that." An older man at the end of the table cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should begin the official meeting. I'm Robert Chen, board chairman. Mr. Cole, your representative indicated you wish to address several governance concerns. Among other things." Richard opened the folder in front of him. "First item. I'm calling for an immediate vote of no confidence in Vivian Whitmore's position on this board." Vivian stood abruptly. "You can't. I have 48% of outstanding shares. I absolutely can." Richard didn't even look at her. "Mrs. Whitmore has demonstrated catastrophically poor judgment, engaged in criminal conspiracy, and exposed this company to massive legal liability. She's unfit to serve in any leadership capacity." "This is absurd," Vivian said, but her voice shook. "A personal vendetta? It's business." Richard finally looked at her. "You made it personal when you hurt my son. I'm making it business by removing you from power. See the difference?" The chairman looked uncomfortable. "We should hear from all parties before—" "You should watch this first." Richard nodded at Marcus, who'd been standing quietly by the door. Marcus moved to the display screen, connected his laptop. The security footage from the gala began playing. Nathan watched the board members' faces as they saw it. Vivian taking the necklace, handing it to Chloe, their conversation clearly showing premeditation. Then Nathan appearing, obviously lost, never touching anything. Then the accusation, the assault, the humiliation. Finally, Vivian and Chloe retrieving the necklace afterward, smiling. When the video ended, the silence was deafening. That footage has been verified by 3 independent experts, Richard said. It's also been turned over to law enforcement. Criminal charges are pending. Vivian had gone white as paper. There's an explanation, or there's a conspiracy, Richard corrected. Premeditated, executed, and documented. You deliberately destroyed an innocent man's reputation because you didn't approve of your daughter's marriage. He leaned forward. How many other times have you abused your position like this? How many other people have you hurt because you thought you were untouchable? I was protecting my family. You were protecting your ego. Richard's voice went cold. And now you're going to face consequences. Chairman Chen, I'm calling the vote. The chairman looked around the table. All in favor of removing Vivian Whitmore from the board? Hands went up. 1, 2, 5, 8. More than enough. Vivian stared at the raised hands like they'd betrayed her. You can't do this. I built this company. Your grandfather built this company, one of the other board members said quietly. You've just been spending its capital. We've been concerned about your judgment for years, Vivian. This just made the decision easy. Get out, Richard said simply. I will not. Security. Richard didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. 2 guards appeared in the doorway. Vivian looked around the table desperately, searching for allies. Found none. This isn't over, she said, grabbing her bag. It absolutely is. Richard's expression was implacable. You're removed from the board, your family's voting shares are being restructured, and criminal charges are coming. You're done, Vivian. Completely. Vivian left, heels clicking sharply against marble. Chloe scrambled after her, not meeting anyone's eyes. When the door closed, Nathan released a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. The chairman looked shaken. Well, that was unpleasant. Necessary, Richard corrected. Now, second item. I'm recommending a full audit of company finances and governance structures. Too much power concentrated in too few hands. We need checks and balances. They spent the next hour restructuring everything. Nathan mostly listened, watching his father systematically dismantle the empire Vivian had controlled for decades. It was efficient, brutal, and completely legal. When they finally adjourned, Nathan's head was spinning. Come on, Richard said. We're not done yet. They took the elevator down to the executive suites. Elena's office was on 38. Her assistant looked up nervously as they approached. I'm sorry, Mr. Cole, but Miss Whitmore isn't... The office door opened. Elena stood there, looking exhausted. It's fine, Sarah. She stepped aside. They can come in. Nathan hadn't seen her in person since the gala. She looked different, smaller somehow, like the last few days had physically diminished her. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail instead of her usual perfect styling. I heard about the board meeting, she said once the door closed. Mother called me, screaming. She made her choices, Richard said. I know. Elena's gaze moved to Nathan. Can we talk? Alone? Richard looked at Nathan, who nodded. I'll be outside, his father said, leaving. Silence filled the office. Elena moved to her desk, but didn't sit. Just stood there, arms wrapped around herself. You look good, she said finally. The suit, very different. Turns out I clean up okay. Nathan's voice came out harder than intended. I'm not trying to start a fight. Then what are you trying to do? Elena looked at him, really looked, the way she used to before everything got complicated. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything left. Of us? Or if we're just 2 people who used to love each other standing in an office pretending we're strangers. Nathan didn't have an answer for that. I meant what I said last night, Elena continued. I cut ties with my family, moved all my things out. My mother's disowned me. My father won't take my calls. Chloe, she laughed bitterly. Chloe sent me a text calling me a traitor. I'm sorry. Don't be. They orchestrated your destruction like it was a game, smiled about it afterward. I can't... Her voice cracked. I can't be associated with people who do that. even if they're my blood. That must have been hard. Not as hard as watching that security footage. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Seeing them plan it. Seeing you so obviously innocent. And knowing I stood there and let them... She covered her face. I'll never forgive myself for that, Nathan. Never. Elena, I froze. That's the truth. I froze because I'm a coward who spent her entire life trying to keep everyone happy, trying to balance impossible contradictions, and when it mattered, when you needed me to be your wife instead of their daughter, I failed. Nathan wanted to argue. Couldn't. The thing is, Elena continued, dropping her hands, I don't know how to be anyone other than who I've always been. The mediator, the peacekeeper, the one who smooths everything over. That's how I survived my family, by never choosing sides, by making everyone think I agreed with them. She looked at Nathan directly. But that doesn't work in a marriage, does it? You can't be Switzerland when your husband is being destroyed. No, Nathan said quietly. You can't. So I have to learn how to choose, how to stand up, how to be the person you deserved instead of the person I was. And if you can't learn, Elena's smile was sad, then I guess we both have our answer. Nathan moved to the window, looking out over the city. From 38 floors up, everything looked small, manageable. I talked to Maya this morning, he said. She asked when you're coming home. Elena's breath caught. What did you tell her? That I don't know. Nathan turned. Because I don't, Elena. Part of me wants to believe you've changed, that cutting off your family proves something, but the other part keeps seeing you turn away while they ripped me apart. Keeps wondering what happens next time there's pressure, next crisis, next impossible choice. I understand. Do you? Nathan's voice rose slightly. Because from where I'm standing, this feels like another attempt at damage control. You cut off your family after the evidence went public, after the board turned on your mother, after it became clear which side was winning. That's not courage, Elena. That's survival. The words landed like punches. Elena flinched but didn't argue. You're right. I don't want to be right. I want... Nathan stopped, frustrated. I don't even know what I want anymore. Do you want a divorce? The question hung between them. Nathan thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe, he said honestly. I don't know. Right now I just want space to figure out who I am without constantly managing everyone else's expectations. Maya needs stability. I need clarity. And you need to figure out who Elena is when she's not trying to please everyone. How much time? However long it takes. Elena nodded slowly. Okay, I can give you that. She paused. For what it's worth, I do love you. That was never fake, never performance. I believe you. Nathan moved toward the door. But love isn't enough when trust is gone. And right now I don't trust you to choose me when it matters. Then I'll earn it back. Elena's voice was fierce. However long it takes. Nathan left without responding. Richard was waiting in the hallway, pretending to check his phone. How'd it go? He asked. About as well as expected. Nathan headed for the elevator. Can we go home? I need to see Maya. Your house is still surrounded by reporters. Then back to your place. Wherever. I just need... Nathan's voice caught. I need to hold my daughter and remember why any of this matters. They rode down in silence. The lobby was full of employees pretending not to stare at Richard Cole and his mysterious son. Nathan ignored them all. Outside, 3 news vans were waiting. Mr. Cole, is it true you're the heir to Cole Global? How does it feel to watch your mother-in-law lose everything? Are you divorcing Elena Whitmore? Security pushed through, getting them to the car. Nathan climbed in, closed his eyes, and tried to breathe. His phone buzzed. Text from a number he didn't recognize. Unknown. This is James Whitmore. We need to talk. Meet me at Morton's Steakhouse, 7 p.m. tonight. Come alone. Nathan showed Richard. His father's expression darkened. Absolutely not. He might have useful information. He's going to try to intimidate you, or buy you off, or both. Richard took the phone, typed a response. If James wants to talk, he does it in my office, with lawyers present, not some secret meeting in a restaurant. The response came back immediately. James. Fine, your office. 7 p.m. But Nathan comes. This conversation is between men, not lawyers. Still a trap, Richard said. Maybe. Nathan took his phone back. But I'm curious what he wants. Curiosity killed the cat. Good thing I'm not a cat. Richard sighed. You're as stubborn as your mother. Is that a compliment? Sometimes. Back at the penthouse, Maya was building an elaborate city out of blocks in the living room. She looked up when Nathan entered, face lighting up. Dad, look! I made a skyscraper like Grandpa's building. Nathan crouched down, examining her creation. That's amazing, Bug. Grandpa helped. He's actually pretty good at blocks. Maya leaned in conspiratorially. But don't tell him I said that. He pretends he's too busy for kid stuff. I heard that, Richard called from the kitchen. Maya giggled. Nathan pulled his daughter into a hug, breathing in her strawberry shampoo smell. This was real. This mattered. Everything else was just noise. Hey, Bug, he said softly. How are you doing? Really? Maya pulled back, suddenly serious. Are you and Elena getting divorced? I don't know yet. But you might? Maybe. Nathan chose his words carefully. Sometimes people who love each other realize they're not good for each other, that staying together would hurt more than being apart. Like you and Mommy would have been? If she didn't die? The question surprised him. What makes you say that? I heard Grandma Sarah talking once, before she died. She said you and Mommy were fighting a lot, that maybe you'd be happier separated. Maya's eyes were too old for 8. I was little, but I remember. Nathan had forgotten kids heard everything, remembered everything. Your mom and I had problems, he admitted, but we were working on them. We never got the chance to fix things or figure out if we should separate. The accident decided for us. Do you miss her? Every day. Nathan touched Maya's cheek. But I'm grateful I got you. Best thing that ever came from that relationship. Maya thought about that. If you and Elena get divorced, can I still see her? She promised to teach me how to braid hair. Nathan's chest tightened. We'll figure something out. Okay. Maya went back to her blocks. I'm making a house next, with a purple roof for Mr. Fluff. Nathan stood, found Richard in the kitchen making coffee. She's resilient, Richard observed. She shouldn't have to be. No, but she is. And that's not a failure on your part, it's a success. You raised a kid who can bend without breaking. Richard handed Nathan a mug. That's rare. Sarah helped, before she died. I'm sorry I never met her. You were invited to the wedding. I was also an ass who thought business was more important than family. Richard's expression was regretful. By the time I realized how wrong I was, she was gone and you'd shut me out. Rightfully so. Nathan sipped his coffee. Why are you being so present now? Is it guilt? Obligation? What? Both, neither. Richard struggled for words. When you called the other night, you sounded exactly like you did when your mother died. Lost, broken. And I realized I'd spent 5 years punishing myself for being a terrible father by continuing to be a terrible father. That's stupidity, not penance. So this is you trying? This is me trying. Richard met his eyes. I know I can't fix the past. Can't give you back the father you needed when you were young. But I can try to be the father you need now, if you'll let me. Before Nathan could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway. Sir, James Whitmore just arrived. He's early, wants to meet now instead of 7. Richard's expression hardened. Tell him to wait. He says he has information about Elena, time sensitive. Nathan and Richard exchanged glances. Fine, Richard said. Conference room. Marcus, you're sitting in. Nathan, I'm coming. This could get ugly. Everything's already ugly. Nathan set down his mug. Let's hear what he has to say. The conference room in Richard's penthouse was smaller than the one at Whitmore Luxury International, but no less intimidating. James Whitmore sat at the far end, looking composed despite showing up 2 hours early. He stood when they entered. Richard, Nathan, James? Richard didn't offer to shake hands. This better be good. You interrupted my afternoon. It will be. James gestured at the chairs. Please, sit. Nathan sat across from him, studying Elena's uncle. James was in his 50s, silver-haired, expensive suit. He looked like every other wealthy executive Nathan had seen. Nothing distinctive except the cold calculation in his eyes. I'm here to offer a deal, James said without preamble. Not interested, Richard said. You haven't heard the terms. Don't need to. My son was assaulted by your family. There's no deal that makes that acceptable. I'm not here representing my family. James leaned forward. I'm here representing Elena. Nathan's attention sharpened. What? Elena doesn't know I'm here. She'd be furious if she found out. James pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. But someone needs to think practically about this situation. Someone needs to protect her interests while she's busy flagellating herself with guilt. Nathan opened the folder. Inside were financial documents, legal papers, what looked like settlement terms. What is this? He asked. A divorce proposal. James's voice was matter-of-fact. Generous terms. You get the house, full custody of Maya, $10 million in liquid assets, and a guarantee that the Whitmore family never contacts you again. Elena gets to keep her company, her assets, and her dignity. Nathan stared at him. You're offering me $10 million to divorce your niece? I'm offering you $10 million to make a clean break. This war between you and the Whitmores, it's destroying everyone. Elena's position at the company is compromised. Your daughter is living in hiding. The media is feeding frenzy. James gestured at the papers. End it. Take the money. Take Maya. Disappear somewhere quiet. Everyone moves on. Except Elena loses her husband. Elena lost her husband the moment my sister orchestrated that stunt at the gala. James's expression was pragmatic. You know it. I know it. Probably Elena knows it too, even if she won't admit it. This marriage is over, Nathan. I'm just offering you a comfortable exit. Richard started to speak, but Nathan held up a hand. Does Elena know you're doing this? He asked. I told you. No. Then you're wasting your time. Nathan pushed the folder back. If Elena wants a divorce, she can ask for one herself. I'm not negotiating my marriage with her uncle. Nathan, be reasonable. I'm being plenty reasonable. You want me to sign away my marriage for money. That's not reasonable. That's insulting. James's expression tightened. You're making a mistake. Probably. I make a lot of those. Nathan stood. But I'm not taking a buyout from a family that tried to destroy me. If this marriage ends, it ends on my terms, not yours. Your terms are destroying my niece's life. Your sister destroyed it first. Nathan's voice was cold. Elena's collateral damage in a war her family started. That's not my fault. So you're going to drag this out, make her suffer because you're angry? I'm going to take the time I need to figure out what I want. If that makes Elena uncomfortable, she can thank her mother. Nathan headed for the door. We're done here. 10 million, Nathan. That's life-changing money. I don't need your money. Nathan looked back. I'm Richard Cole's son, remember? I could buy and sell your entire family if I wanted. Money's not the issue here. Then what is? Respect. Nathan's voice was quiet but firm. Something your family never had for me. Something I'm not sure Elena has for herself, and something I refuse to negotiate away for any amount of cash. He left. Richard followed, closing the door on James's stunned expression. That was well done, his father said. Was it? Nathan felt shaky. $10 million, Dad. That's pocket change compared to what you're worth. Richard's expression was serious. But more importantly, it's an insult. James thinks you're for sale. You just proved you're not. What if I made the wrong choice? Then you made it for the right reasons. Richard guided Nathan toward the living room. Integrity matters more than money. I'm glad you remember that. Nathan found Maya still building her block city. She'd added a park now, complete with tiny trees made from green paper. Dad, look! I made a playground! Nathan sat beside her, picking up a block. Can I help? Sure, you can make the library. Every city needs a library. They built together while Richard made calls in his office and Marcus showed James out. Nathan focused on placing blocks carefully, listening to Maya's running commentary about her imaginary city, trying not to think about the divorce papers in that folder. $10 million to walk away. A month ago, that would have been unimaginable wealth. Now it just felt like proof that some people would never understand that not everything had a price. His phone buzzed. Elena. Elena. My uncle just called me, furious, said you rejected his offer. What offer? Nathan hesitated, then called her. She answered immediately. What did James do? Offered me $10 million to divorce you quietly. Silence. Elena? I'm going to kill him. Her voice was tight with fury. I specifically told him. He promised he wouldn't interfere. That manipulative. I turned him down. I know, he told me, called me an idiot for marrying someone who couldn't be bought. Elena laughed bitterly. Like being unbribable is a character flaw. In his world, maybe it is. I'm so sorry, Nathan. I didn't ask him to do that. Didn't want. I know. Nathan watched Maya add a tiny block person to her playground. But it made me realize something. What? Your family's never going to accept me. Even if we fix everything between us, even if you cut them all off, they'll always be there in the background, making offers, causing problems, treating me like I'm something you settled for instead of chose. I don't care what they think. Maybe you should. Nathan's voice was gentle. Because they're your family, Elena, and hating them, cutting them off, choosing me over them, that's going to hurt you. Maybe forever. That's a heavy cost. You're worth it. Am I, though? Nathan closed his eyes. Or are you just trying to prove something? To them? To yourself? To me? Elena was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, she admitted finally. Maybe both. Maybe I'm trying to prove I can be the person you deserved instead of the person I was. Maybe that's selfish. Maybe that's just me trying to feel less guilty. At least you're honest. It's a start, right? Yeah. Nathan opened his eyes. It's a start. They sat in silence, connected by a phone line, separated by everything else. I miss you, Elena said softly. I miss Maya. I miss our life. I miss it too. Nathan's throat tightened. But missing something doesn't mean it was healthy. Doesn't mean we should go back to it. So what do? We keep taking time. You figure out who you are without your family. I figure out if I can trust you again. Nathan watched Maya's careful construction. And maybe eventually we figure out if there's still an us worth fighting for. And if there's not? Nathan thought about James's offer, about divorce papers and $10 million and clean breaks. Then we'll both survive, he said. After they hung up, Nathan helped Maya finish her block city. They made a library, a fire station, an ice cream shop. Created a whole miniature world where everything was simple and structures stayed standing and nothing ever collapsed unexpectedly. If only real life worked the same way. That night, after Maya was asleep, Nathan stood on the terrace with his father. The city lights stretched endlessly below them, millions of lives intersecting, colliding, continuing. James's offer is still on the table, Richard said quietly. If you change your mind, I won't. Even if the alternative is years of uncertainty, drawn-out legal battles, media scrutiny, even then. Nathan looked at his father. You asked me earlier why I called you that night. The real reason. And? Because I realized I'd spent 5 years running from who I am. From the Cole name, from money, from anything that reminded me of Mom dying and you disappearing into work. I built this whole modest life thinking that made me noble, different, better. Nathan's laugh was bitter. But it just made me a target. The Whitmores saw someone they could hurt without consequences. And they were almost right. Almost? They didn't know I had you. Nathan met Richard's eyes. Didn't know that the quiet carpenter had a father who could destroy their empire with a few phone calls. That was their mistake. So what now? Now I stop running. Stop pretending I'm not a Cole. Stop letting people underestimate me because it's comfortable. Nathan's voice hardened. The Whitmores wanted to show me I didn't belong in their world. Instead, they're going to learn I own a bigger one. Richard's smile was proud. Welcome back, son. They stood together on the terrace, father and son, watching the city that had no idea a war had just been won. And in a hotel room across town, Elena Whitmore sat alone with her phone, staring at Nathan's contact information, trying to figure out if love was enough to rebuild trust, or if some things, once broken, stayed broken forever. 6 months changed everything and nothing. The Whitmore empire didn't collapse overnight. That would have been too clean, too cinematic. Instead, it bled out slowly. Stock prices dropped week after week as investors lost confidence. The debt Richard called in forced asset sales at unfavorable prices. Board restructuring meant Vivian and Chloe lost their controlling positions, relegated to minority shareholders with no real power. Charles Whitmore, who'd remained largely silent through everything, filed for divorce from Vivian 3 months in. Apparently, watching your wife orchestrate a conspiracy to destroy your son-in-law had limits even for him. The criminal charges moved through the system with bureaucratic slowness. Vivian's lawyers got the assault charges reduced to misdemeanor battery. Chloe took a plea deal that involved community service and a public apology Nathan never bothered to watch. The conspiracy charges were harder to prove without cooperation, so the DA settled for what they could get. Justice, Nathan learned, was less satisfying in reality than in theory. But watching the Whitmore mansion get sold to pay debts, that felt pretty good. Nathan moved back into his house after the media circus died down. The reporters eventually found newer scandals to chase. Life returned to something resembling normal, or at least a new version of normal, where Nathan drove Maya to school in a Mercedes instead of his old pickup truck, where Richard came over for dinner twice a week, where the name Cole opened doors Nathan had spent years keeping closed. He'd started working with his father. Not full-time. Maya still needed him present, grounded, but enough to learn the business, to understand the empire he'd inherit someday. Turned out Nathan had a knack for it. The same attention to detail that made him good at furniture restoration translated well to corporate strategy. "You're a natural," Richard said one afternoon in his office, reviewing acquisition proposals. "Your mother would be proud." Mom hated corporate stuff. She hated the obsession, not the work itself. Richard's expression softened. "She always said business was just people with fancier problems. You're good at seeing the people underneath the problems. That's rare." Nathan filed that away with all the other things he was learning about his parents' marriage, about his mother's death, about the grief that had driven both him and Richard into their separate corners for 5 years. Healing wasn't linear, but it was happening. Maya adjusted better than Nathan expected. Kids were resilient like that. She accepted the new normal with the same adaptability she'd shown when Sarah died. The private school Richard enrolled her in was jarring at first, but she made friends quickly, started piano lessons, joined the soccer team, and every few weeks she'd ask about Elena. "Can I call her?" Maya asked one evening while Nathan helped with homework. "If you want to." "Will it make you sad?" Nathan considered that. "Maybe a little, but you're allowed to have your own relationship with her, Bug. Whatever happened between us doesn't change how she feels about you." Maya chewed on her pencil. "But you're getting divorced, right?" They'd been separated for 4 months. Divorce papers sat unsigned on Nathan's desk. Elena had sent them with a note that just said, "Whenever you're ready." "Probably," Nathan admitted. "Do you still love her?" The question hit harder than it should have. It's complicated. That's what grown-ups always say when the answer is yes, but they don't want to admit it. 8-year-olds were terrifyingly perceptive. "Yeah," Nathan said quietly. "I still love her. But love isn't always enough." "Why not?" "Because people hurt each other sometimes, even when they don't mean to. And sometimes the hurt is too big to fix, even with love." Maya thought about that while finishing her math problems. When she was done, she looked up at Nathan with those serious eyes that reminded him so much of Sarah. "I think you should talk to her," Maya said. "Actually talk, not just phone calls where you both pretend everything's fine." "When did you get so wise?" "I'm 8.5. That's basically an adult." Nathan laughed despite himself. "Okay, wise woman. I'll think about it." That night, after Maya was asleep, Nathan finally read the texts Elena had been sending. He'd been ignoring them mostly, just brief acknowledgments that he was alive and Maya was okay. But Elena kept writing anyway. Long messages about her day, about the company, about therapy she'd started, about her family's continued implosion. The most recent one, sent earlier that evening, "I've been thinking about what you said, about me needing to figure out who I am without trying to please everyone. I think I'm starting to understand. I spent so long being the perfect daughter, the perfect CEO, the perfect wife. I forgot those were all performances. Forgot there was supposed to be a real person underneath. I'm trying to find her now. It's harder than I expected." Another text. "Maya's birthday is next week. I know I probably don't have the right to ask, but can I send her a gift? Or is that overstepping?" Nathan stared at his phone for a long time before responding. "Nathan, she'd like that. She misses you." 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared, appeared again. Elena. I miss her too. Miss both of you. Nathan. Maya thinks we should talk. Actually talk. Face to face. Elena. When? Nathan. Saturday, 2 p.m. There's a coffee shop near the park. Neutral territory. Elena. I'll be there. Nathan set down his phone, heart racing like he'd just agreed to something dangerous. Maybe he had. Saturday arrived too quickly. Nathan dropped Maya off at Richard's. His father had promised a day of educational activities that Maya had translated as "Grandpa's going to spoil me with the aquarium and ice cream," and drove to the coffee shop alone. Elena was already there when he arrived, sitting at a corner table, looking nothing like the polished CEO he'd married. Jeans, simple sweater, hair down, no makeup that he could see. She looked young, vulnerable, real. Nathan ordered coffee he didn't want and sat down across from her. Hi, Elena said. Hi. Awkward silence stretched between them. This is weird, Elena said finally. Yeah. We used to talk for hours. Now I don't know what to say. Nathan sipped his coffee. How've you been? Terrible. You? About the same. Elena's laugh came out broken. At least we're honest now. That's new. The barb landed. Elena flinched but didn't deflect. I deserve that. Probably. More silence. Nathan watched people outside the window, couples walking, families laughing, people living uncomplicated lives. I've been seeing a therapist, Elena said. 3 times a week. She's helping me understand why I did what I did. The freezing, the lying, all of it. And it turns out I have terrible boundaries. Learned helplessness from years of trying to manage my family's dysfunction. Fear of confrontation so deep, it's practically pathological. Elena's voice was matter-of-fact, like she was discussing someone else. Also, abandonment issues from my father's emotional unavailability and my mother's conditional love. So that's fun. Therapy's helping? Helping me understand, not sure it's helping me fix anything yet. Elena met his eyes. But I'm trying. Really trying. Not because I think it'll win you back. I'm not delusional enough to believe that's possible, but because I can't keep being the person I was. She was miserable, dishonest, exhausting. Nathan didn't know what to say to that. I cut off my family completely, Elena continued. Not just moved out. Actually cut them off. Changed my number, blocked them on everything, told the company lawyers they're not allowed to contact me directly. She paused. My mother tried to show up at my apartment last month. I had security remove her. That must have been hard. It was necessary. Elena's expression was sad but firm. I kept thinking I could maintain some connection, some thread of family. But they're toxic, Nathan. Every conversation was manipulation. Every interaction was them trying to get me to choose their version of reality over my own. So you chose yourself. For the first time in my life, yeah. Elena smiled slightly. Turns out it's terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Nathan studied her. She looked different, not just physically, but in the way she carried herself. Less polished, more grounded. I signed the divorce papers, Elena said quietly. 2 weeks ago. They're with my lawyer. I'm not filing them yet because... She stopped, started again. Because I wanted to give you the choice. If you want to end this, they're ready. If you want to try... Her voice cracked. If there's any chance you want to try, then I'm here. But I'm not going to push. Not going to manipulate or guilt or perform my way back into your life. What do you want? Nathan asked. Honestly, I want to wake up in our house with you making terrible pancakes while Maya complains they're too burnt. I want movie nights and grocery shopping and all the boring, normal things I took for granted. Elena's eyes filled with tears. But I don't get to want that. I destroyed it. So what I want doesn't matter. It matters to me. Why? Because I need to know if you're fighting for us or fighting against being alone. Elena considered that. 6 months ago, I would have said both and pretended they were the same thing. Now? She wiped her eyes. Now I know the difference. And honestly, Nathan, I don't know. I think I love you. I think I want our marriage. But I'm also learning to be alone for the first time in my life. And it's hard, really hard. So maybe part of this is me being scared of being alone. I can't promise it's not. The honesty was startling. At least you're not lying, Nathan said. I'm done lying. To you, to myself, to everyone. Elena's voice was fierce. Even if it costs me everything, even if the truth is I'm a mess who doesn't know what she wants and might be fighting for you for all the wrong reasons, that's where I am. And you deserve to know that before you decide anything. Nathan sat back processing. Part of him wanted to be angry, wanted her to have a clear answer, a convincing argument for why they should try again. But the messy honesty felt more real than any perfect explanation could have been. I don't know what I want either, he admitted. Some days I want to tear up those divorce papers and try again. Other days I want to sign them and move on. Most days I'm just tired of thinking about it. That's fair. Maya asked me if I still love you. Elena's breath caught. What did you tell her? That I do. But that love isn't always enough. Is it enough? For you? Nathan thought about the last 6 months, about rebuilding his relationship with his father, about watching Maya flourish, about learning who he was when he stopped trying to be invisible. I don't know, he said, but I know I'm not the same person who married you, and you're not the same person who married me. So maybe the question isn't whether we still love each other. Maybe it's whether the people we're becoming can build something better than what we had. Can they? I don't know that either. Elena laughed, watery but genuine. We're a mess. Yeah. So what do we do? Nathan pulled out his phone, scrolled to the photos. Found one from Maya's birthday last year, the 3 of them covered in cake frosting, laughing. They looked happy. They looked like a family. Maya's birthday is Tuesday, he said. Come over, spend the day with us. Not as my wife, just as someone who matters to Maya. See how it feels. See if we can exist in the same space without it being weird or painful or performative. And if it is weird and painful, then we'll know. Nathan met her eyes. But if it's not, if there's something real still there underneath all the damage, then maybe we have a starting point. A starting point, Elena repeated. Not a solution. Not a solution, Nathan confirmed. Just a beginning. If we decide there's something worth beginning. Elena nodded slowly. Okay, Tuesday. Maya's birthday. I'll be there. They finished their coffee in more comfortable silence. When they parted in the parking lot, Elena hesitated. Thank you, she said, for not giving up completely, for giving me even this much. Thank you for being honest. Finally. Elena drove away in her modest sedan. She'd sold the luxury car months ago, Nathan had heard. Another piece of her old life shed. Nathan sat in his Mercedes for a long time, trying to figure out if he'd just made a terrible mistake or the first step toward healing. Tuesday morning, Nathan woke to Maya jumping on his bed. It's my birthday. I'm 9. That's basically double digits. That's not how math works, Bug. Close enough. Maya bounced harder. Is Elena coming? You said maybe she'd come. She's coming. This afternoon. Maya shrieked and ran off to get ready, leaving Nathan to contemplate the day ahead. Richard showed up at noon with enough presents to fill a small store. Dad, that's too much, Nathan said, staring at the pile. Nonsense. She's my granddaughter. I have 9 years of birthdays to make up for. Richard set down the last box. Is Elena coming? Yeah. How do you feel about that? Terrified. Good. Richard squeezed Nathan's shoulder. Means you still care. Elena arrived at 2, carrying a single present wrapped in purple paper. Maya answered the door, eyes going wide. Elena! Happy birthday, Maya. Elena crouched down, and Maya threw her arms around her. Nathan watched from the hallway as his daughter clung to his estranged wife, both of them crying. I missed you so much, Maya said into Elena's shoulder. I missed you too, sweetheart. So much. When they finally pulled apart, Elena held out the present. This is for you. Maya tore into it carefully. She'd always been methodical about opening gifts, and gasped. Inside was a jewelry box. Handmade by the looks of it. Beautiful carved wood, purple velvet lining. I made it myself, Elena said. Took a woodworking class. Your dad inspired me. He's always talking about how satisfying it is to build things with your hands. I'm not very good yet, but I wanted you to have something I made. Something that mattered. Maya opened the box. Inside was a bracelet, simple, elegant, with a small charm in the shape of an elephant. For Mr. Fluff, Elena said softly. So you always have him with you? Maya started crying again. It's perfect. Nathan felt something crack in his chest. The afternoon passed easier than Nathan expected. They had cake, chocolate with vanilla frosting, Maya's favorite, open presents, played board games in the living room while Richard made sarcastic commentary that had Maya giggling. It felt normal. It felt right. Around 6, Richard took Maya to the park, giving Nathan and Elena space. They cleaned up the wrapping paper in silence. She's gotten so big, Elena said, folding a piece of purple tissue paper. I know it's only been 6 months, but she seems older. Kids grow up. Nathan gathered plates, whether we're ready or not. I wasn't ready for any of this. Elena sat on the couch, looking exhausted. Wasn't ready to lose you, to lose her, to lose my family. Wasn't ready to figure out who I am without all those anchors. How's that going? Some days better than others. Elena looked at him. Today was a good day. Yeah, Nathan admitted. It was. Can I ask you something? Sure. When you look at me now, what do you see? Nathan thought about it. Honestly, I see someone trying. Someone who's messy and uncertain and still figuring things out. But also someone who's real in a way you never were before. Is that enough? I don't know, but it's more than I had 6 months ago. Elena nodded slowly. I know you haven't decided about the divorce, about us, and I'm not asking you to decide today. But Nathan, I need you to know I'm not going anywhere. Whether we're married or divorced or something in between, I'm going to be here. For Maya. For you. If you'll let me. Not because I'm trying to win you back, but because you're both part of my life in a way I can't just cut off. Even if I sign the papers? Even then, Elena's voice was firm. I'm done running from hard things. If we divorce, we divorce. But I'm not disappearing. Maya needs consistency, and I won't be another person who promises forever and then bails. Something shifted in Nathan's chest. This was what he'd needed to hear. Not promises that everything would be perfect, but commitment to show up regardless of the outcome. Okay, he said. Okay. You can be part of our lives. Maya's life. We'll figure out the rest as we go. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. They sat together on the couch, not touching, but closer than they'd been in months. Through the window, Nathan could see Richard pushing Maya on the swings, her laughter carrying on the evening air. I don't know if we can fix this, Nathan said quietly. Our marriage, us. I don't know if the trust can be rebuilt or if we're just delaying the inevitable. I don't know either. But I'm willing to try. Not right now, we both need more time. But maybe in a few months we could, I don't know, date? See if we can build something new instead of trying to resurrect what died. Elena turned to look at him. You'd be willing to do that? Start over? Maybe. If you're serious about being different, about being honest. I am. I swear I am. Then we'll see. Nathan managed a small smile. No promises, no expectations. Just two people who used to love each other figuring out if there's anything left worth saving. Elena wiped her eyes. I can work with that. Richard and Maya came back as the sun was setting. Maya was buzzing with excitement about the playground and the ice cream Richard had definitely bought her despite knowing it would ruin dinner. Best birthday ever, Maya announced, hugging Nathan. Glad you had fun, Bug. Can Elena stay for dinner? Nathan and Elena exchanged glances. If it's okay with your dad, Elena said carefully. It's okay, Nathan said. So they ordered pizza, Maya's choice, and sat around the dining room table like a family. Richard told embarrassing stories about Nathan as a kid. Maya demonstrated her new piano skills. Elena laughed genuinely for the first time in months. And Nathan watched it all, feeling something that might have been hope. When Elena left around 9, she hugged Maya goodbye and hesitated at the door. Thank you, she said to Nathan, for today, for giving me this. Thank you for the jewelry box. That was... You really made that? Took me 3 tries. The first 2 fell apart. Elena smiled. Turns out woodworking is harder than it looks. Everything worthwhile is. Elena held his gaze for a moment, then left. Nathan closed the door and found Richard watching him from the kitchen. You're going to try again, aren't you? His father asked. Maybe, eventually, if we can both become people who deserve another chance. That's a big if. I know. Nathan joined him in the kitchen. But I spent 5 years running from you, from grief, from anything complicated, and all it did was make me a target for people who saw weakness instead of strength. I'm done running. Even if trying again means risking more pain, especially then. Nathan looked at the photo on the fridge, him and Elena and Maya at the zoo last year, before everything fell apart. Maya said something the other night. She said people who love each other should fight for it, even when it's hard, even when they're scared. Smart kid. She gets it from her mother. Nathan's voice caught. Sarah never gave up on anything. Even when our marriage was falling apart, even when we were fighting constantly, she kept trying, kept believing we could fix it. And then she died, and I never got to tell her she was right, that I would have fought for it too if I'd had the chance. Richard was quiet for a moment. So this is about Sarah? No. It's about me learning from her, from you, from everyone who gave up when things got hard. Nathan turned to his father. You gave up after Mom died, buried yourself in work instead of dealing with grief, and it cost you 5 years with your son. I know, but you came back. When I called, you showed up. You're here now, trying. Nathan's voice strengthened. Elena's trying too, really trying, and maybe she'll fail. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe we're both too broken to fix this, but I'd rather try and fail than spend the rest of my life wondering what if. Richard pulled Nathan into a hug, the first time he'd done that in years. Your mother would be proud of you, he said quietly. Yeah? You've got her heart, her courage, her refusal to accept easy answers. Richard pulled back, eyes suspiciously bright. I'm proud of you too. Nathan smiled. Took you long enough to say it. I'm a work in progress. Aren't we all? 3 months later, Nathan took Maya to visit Sarah's grave. They hadn't been in over a year, too busy with life, with crisis, with everything falling apart and slowly reassembling. Maya put flowers on the headstone. Hi, Mommy. I'm 9 now, and I got all A's this semester, and I'm learning piano, and Dad says you'd be proud of me. Nathan crouched beside her. She would be. She'd be so proud of the person you're becoming. Do you think she's mad that you and Elena might get back together? No, Bug. I think she'd want me to be happy, to give love another chance. Are you? Happy. Nathan thought about the last few months, the slow rebuilding of trust, weekly dinners with Elena, coffee dates, long conversations about therapy and growth and what they both wanted. They hadn't gotten back together officially, hadn't moved back in together, or even kissed, just existed in each other's orbit, learning who they were now, seeing if those new people could build something sustainable. I'm getting there, Nathan said. Are you? Yeah. Maya touched the headstone gently. I still miss Mommy, but I like that Elena's back. Is that okay? It's more than okay. You're allowed to love more than one person. Love doesn't run out. They sat together in the quiet cemetery, saying goodbye to one chapter and tentatively accepting the beginning of another. That evening, Nathan met Elena for dinner. Not at some fancy restaurant, just the Italian place where they'd had their first date. Same red checkered tablecloths, same too hot breadsticks. This feels circular, Elena said, looking around. Coming back here. Full circle or going in circles? Depends on the day. Elena smiled. Today feels like full circle. They ordered the same dishes they'd gotten 3 years ago. Talked about Maya, about work, about Elena's therapy breakthroughs, and Nathan's growing role in his father's company. Over dessert, Nathan pulled out an envelope. What's this? Elena asked. The divorce papers. Unsigned. Elena stared at them. Nathan, I'm not ready to sign them, but I'm also not ready to tear them up. Nathan's voice was steady. So they're going to sit in a drawer, a reminder that we have a choice. Every day we choose whether this marriage is worth fighting for, whether we're becoming people who can make it work. And if one day we decide it's not worth it, then we sign them, amicably, honestly, as two people who tried and couldn't make it work, but who still respect each other enough to end things with dignity. Elena took the envelope with shaking hands. I can live with that. Good. Nathan reached across the table, offering his hand. Elena took it. Hi. Nathan said. I'm Nathan Cole. I'm a furniture restorer, a father, and the reluctant heir to a business empire. I'm messy and uncertain and still figuring out who I am. Want to start over? Elena laughed through tears. Hi, I'm Elena Whitmore. I'm a CEO, a recovering people pleaser, and someone who's learning to be honest even when it's terrifying. I'd like that, the starting over part. They held hands across the checkered tablecloth, two people who'd destroyed and been destroyed, choosing to build something new from the wreckage. 6 more months passed. The criminal cases against Vivian and Chloe concluded with minimal sentences and maximum publicity. The Whitmore estate sold for 60% of its value. Vivian moved to a condo in Florida. Chloe married some hedge fund manager and stopped returning Elena's emails. Charles Whitmore surprisingly reached out to Elena with an apology. They met for coffee once, agreed to try rebuilding slowly. Nathan stayed out of it. That was Elena's journey to navigate. Richard formally brought Nathan into Cole Global Holdings as executive vice president. Maya started 4th grade and joined the debate team. Elena's therapy continued, supplemented by couples counseling she and Nathan attended weekly. They still hadn't moved back in together, but Nathan had started staying over some weekends, had started keeping a drawer at Elena's apartment, had started calling her when something funny happened instead of just texting. Small steps, careful rebuilding. And then one night, Nathan found himself at Richard's penthouse, standing on that same terrace where 6 months earlier he'd declared war on the Whitmores. You did it, Richard said, joining him with bourbon. Destroyed them, got justice, rebuilt yourself. Did I, though? Nathan stared out at the city. The Whitmores lost their empire, but they're still wealthy, still comfortable. Vivian got a slap on the wrist. Chloe married rich. Where's the justice in that? You're still standing. They thought they could break you. They were wrong. Richard sipped his drink. That's the justice. It doesn't feel like enough. It never does. Revenge is like that, satisfying in theory, hollow in practice. Richard glanced at him. But you didn't do this for revenge. Not really. You did it to show Elena what it costs when she chooses wrong. To show yourself you're worth fighting for. Did it work? You tell me. You're building something new with her, something honest. Would you be doing that if you hadn't proven you could survive without her? Nathan thought about that. No, I'd still be that guy in the torn shirt, begging her to choose me. Exactly. The Whitmores didn't free you by destroying you. They freed you by showing you what you were accepting, what you were worth. And once you knew that, Richard smiled. You became dangerous. Nathan finished his bourbon. Maya asked me yesterday if I'm going to marry Elena again. What'd you say? That we're already married. We just have to decide if we want to stay that way. And I think I do. Not because I need her, not because I'm scared of being alone, but because the person she's becoming is someone I want to spend my life with. Nathan looked at his father. Is that crazy? Probably. But most worthwhile things are. 2 weeks later, Nathan and Elena sat in their couples therapist's office. I want to propose something, Elena said during the session. A vow renewal, not the wedding we had before, that was built on lies and performance, but something real, where we promise to choose each other knowing exactly who we are, flaws and all. Nathan's heart raced. You want to renew our vows? I want to mean them this time. Elena's voice was steady. The first wedding, I was playing a role, pretending to be someone I thought you needed. This time, I want to stand in front of people who matter and promise to be honest, to choose you even when it's hard, to be the partner you deserved from the beginning. And if we fail again, then at least we'll fail honestly. Elena reached for his hand. But Nathan, I don't think we will. I think we're stronger now than we ever were before, because we've seen the worst of each other and we're still here. Nathan looked at their joined hands, thought about the last year, the rebuilding, the therapy, the slow, painful growth. Okay, he said. Okay? Let's renew our vows. Small ceremony, just family. Maya, my dad, your therapist if you want. Nathan smiled. And this time, no secrets, no performances, just us. Elena kissed him, the first real kiss they'd shared in over a year. It felt like coming home. The vow renewal happened 2 months later in the same park where Nathan had first proposed. No fancy venue, no hundreds of guests, just Nathan, Elena, Maya, Richard, and an officiant. Maya served as ring bearer, beaming with pride. Elena wore a simple white dress. Nathan wore a suit his father hadn't bought him. He'd chosen it himself. When it came time for vows, Elena spoke first. Nathan, the first time we got married, I promised to love and cherish you. I meant those words, but I didn't understand them. I thought love was enough. I thought if I just tried hard enough, I could be everything to everyone. Her voice wavered, but held strong. I was wrong. Love isn't enough without trust, without honesty, without the courage to choose your partner even when your family is pressuring you to do otherwise. I failed you, completely. And I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down her face. But I'm different now. I'm learning to set boundaries. To be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. To choose myself and you instead of constantly trying to manage everyone else's expectations. Elena's voice strengthened. So today, I'm promising something different. I promise to be honest, even when the truth is ugly. I promise to choose you, even when it costs me. I promise to be the partner you deserve, or to be honest when I'm failing to be that person. Because you're worth fighting for. We're worth fighting for. Nathan wiped his eyes, not caring who saw. Elena, he said when it was his turn. When I married you the first time, I thought I was choosing safety. Someone who'd complete our family. Give Maya a mother. Give me a partner. He looked at her directly. I was choosing comfort, and when that comfort turned out to be an illusion, I felt betrayed, lied to, destroyed. He took a breath. But here's what I learned in the last year. I needed to be destroyed. I needed to stop hiding from who I am. Stop playing small because it felt safe. Stop letting people treat me like I didn't matter because I was too scared to demand better. Nathan's voice cracked. You didn't destroy me, Elena. You showed me I was already broken, and then you gave me the chance to rebuild into something stronger. He squeezed her hands. So today, I'm choosing you, not because I need you to complete me, not because I'm scared of being alone, but because the person you're becoming is someone I admire, someone I respect, someone I want beside me as we both keep growing into whoever we're meant to be. Nathan smiled through tears. I choose you, Elena, every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The officiant declared them married. Again. Better this time. Maya cheered. Richard wiped his eyes, and Nathan kissed his wife like she was the most precious thing he'd ever held. Because she was. That night after the small celebration dinner, after Maya fell asleep in her room at Elena's apartment, their apartment again, officially, Nathan stood on the balcony with Elena. We did it, she said softly. We survived. More than survived. Elena leaned against him. We became different people. Better people. You think so? I know so. Elena looked up at him. A year ago, I was so busy trying to be perfect that I didn't know how to be real. Now I'm a mess half the time, but at least I'm an honest mess. Nathan laughed. I spent years hiding from my father's money because I thought it made me superior somehow. Turns out I was just scared. And now? Now I know money's just a tool. It's what you do with it that matters. Nathan thought about the foundation he and Richard had started, supporting single parents rebuilding after trauma. We're doing some good with it. We are. They stood together watching the city lights, two people who'd been broken and rebuilt, who'd destroyed and forgiven, who'd learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about showing up, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. You know what Maya said to me yesterday? Elena asked. What? She said she was glad everything fell apart, because otherwise we never would have learned how to be honest with each other. Nathan thought about that, about the gala, about his father's revenge, about the painful year of separation and growth. She's right, he said. Sometimes things have to completely shatter before they can be rebuilt into something real. Do you regret it? Any of it? Nathan considered. I regret that we hurt each other, that Maya had to see us fall apart, that your family destroyed themselves trying to destroy me. He paused. But I don't regret where we ended up. This version of us, the honest, messy, still figuring it out version, is better than anything we had before. even with all the pain, especially with the pain, because it taught us what matters, who we are when everything else is stripped away. Elena kissed his cheek. I love you, Nathan Cole. The real you. Not the carpenter I thought I was marrying, not the billionaire heir your father raised, just you. I love you too, the messy, honest, still learning version. Inside, they could hear Maya's soft snoring through the open bedroom door. Outside, the city continued its endless movement. And on that balcony, two people who'd learned the hard way that love required more than just emotion. It required courage, honesty, and the willingness to keep choosing each other even when everything fell apart, held each other, and understood that some stories didn't have neat endings. They had new beginnings, messy, uncertain, imperfect beginnings. And that was enough. More than enough. That was everything.